Night, starring the one and only Nomad.
Yo, No Maniacs, welcome to the show. This is Nomad at Night. I am your friendly host, Nomad, and we got a bunch of people with us today. We got my man Brian down in the corner. We got my man J2K, who is the newest member of the network, here with us tonight to break down some UDFAs and some other things we're going to talk about. And Chris is up there in the corner doing his thing as always. But welcome in, No Maniacs. What a hell of a weekend, man. What a hell of a weekend, a long weekend. I'm talking about 17 plus hours worth of draft coverage, man. It seemed like it would never end. And we only have 4 draft picks. And anybody that was here yesterday, you know what happened after the 4th pick. What did I do? Mount St. Nomad erupted. Yes, I did. You wanna look at some funny stuff? Everybody thinks it's funny but me, I guess. And the Canuck just fell into the building. Welcome in, Canuck. But yeah, it was a long weekend. I'm still partying. I don't know about you guys. I still feel good. I'm going to 12 o'clock. I said it was going to be a party-filled weekend. I'm gonna fulfill my commitment and keep on drinking. You know what? You know why? Because I just got my registration card. Winos Anonymous. 15% off. 15% off everywhere I go, and it's free at your house.
Start calling you Ned.
Just going in a different direction. Okay, all right.
No, it was a good. I had a fun weekend, man. We intended for that weekend to be really celebratory, man. Really jump this new era in football in Chicago in the right way, and I think we accomplished that goal, man. People enjoyed themselves the whole weekend. It was long, but they stuck there. The faithful were there with us, man. But as everybody trickles in, man, we have a special guest for you guys. One of my favorite people with the keyboard. I love this guy, man. I love talking to him. I look forward to when he comes on during camp and just camps and empties his notes, man. I absolutely look forward to this guy every time I see him, legitimately. But without further ado, man, let's introduce it. And there he is, Alex Shapiro, NBC Sports Chicago, up in here, man. Hey, what'd you think about that intro, Alex?
I thought it was nice. Adam, is that a new nickname? It's a dope intro. I might be having an identity.
Did it say Adam?
It did, but that's all right. I'll give you a pass because you know what? That was a very kind intro you gave me, and I always enjoy coming on this show as well. You're a great bunch to talk to, so I am very happy to be here.
Alex,
throw the flag on Chris, man.
Yeah, throw a flag, man. It was the demons, man, because when I left it didn't say Adam, but it will. I will
gremlins,
correct it,
man.
sir.
Those internet gremlins.
It got me, man. Hey.
I swear it wasn't a prank by me. I swear.
That's all right. I was trying to come up with something more clever to bust your chops because it honestly doesn't bother me whatsoever. And I didn't do a really good job coming up with something clever to bust your chops.
Well, you don't have to, but it happens enough. Believe me.
I didn't even notice it. That just showed you how.
I didn't either.
Alcoholism. Stay away from it, kids.
Yeah.
And Alzheimer's.
I didn't realize that this was a party podcast. I would have cracked a brew. Because I feel like I can use a brewski after this weekend.
Not. Chris has no excuse. Chris is not the big drinker. That's usually me. So I'll take the heat on this one. I'll take all the heat.
But please do crack that brew, Alex, man. Let's cut it loose, man. Because you know what? I've been itching to find out. It's been months since you've been here, man. You got to start coming around a little bit more, man. Because people really look forward to your take on what's been going on in and around Halashall. They'll definitely be looking forward to you come mini camp, training camp, and what you put in that notebook, man, because I always look forward to it, man. I don't care what you have, just a bunch of periods, commas. I don't care. Just tell me what it is, man. I look forward to it all the time. But
I'll definitely come through this summer. And I'm so excited for rookie mini camp. This is probably going to be the most exciting rookie mini camp we've had since 2021 when Justin Fields was in town.
since ever. Come on, man. What's the energy like around there, man? This has got to be like the best place in the country for a media market right now, other than Ukraine and Area 51 or something. What the hell else is going on in the world other than what's going on in Chicago?
No, it's very fun. Obviously, writing about good, interesting football is a lot better than writing about bad, uninteresting football, just from a personal standpoint. So we are all looking forward to seeing what Caleb Williams can do. Roma Dunze also just obviously a highly talented, very intriguing player. I've been fortunate enough to have the chance to chat with him a few times. Just seems like a really good guy who gets it, who understands the opportunity in front of him. We all know what he can do on the field. And then same with, I don't want to screw his name up. Amagaji.
Kieran Amagaji.
Karan Amagaji. There it is. Karan Amagaji. I got to practice. I mean, local guy is always a fun story. Yale. That's pretty cool. Again, just got traits out the wazoo. Same with Austin Booker. Super high upside player. And then, the Australian punter. Who doesn't want to cover an Australian punter? The last Australian athlete I had the pleasure of covering was Liam Hendriks with the White Sox. He was a great guy to talk to. So I'm just going to throw all Australians into a bucket. Now my second Australian athlete. I hope he's as cool and as nice as Liam Hendriks.
So you want to tell that story you were telling us in the green room, or you want to hold it to yourself?
Nah, sure. About when the Bears drafted Torrey Taylor. So we're sitting in the media room, just messing around, waiting for the pick, because we'd been waiting, all day for that pick to come through. And my colleague, Josh Schrock, completely joking, no inside information, nothing like that. Basically just goes, watch them draft that punter from Iowa right now. Wouldn't that be crazy? And then what happens 30 seconds later? Bam, they draft the punter from Iowa. We all lost our minds. We couldn't believe it actually happened.
Nope.
Obviously, we didn't.
Did anybody strangle Josh Schrock?
Did anybody strangle him?
Yes. Was there a strangling at
Quite the opposite. It was a coronation. It was like, oh my God,
really?
What an unbelievable call. Yeah. And then, we reacted very quickly, and then we all got to work very quickly. So not a whole lot of time to react, but no, why would we strangle him? That was an unbelievable call. It was so impressive.
Timeout. Paul, timeout. Coach Flus just called a timeout. The hell with that. I need you to paint and by the way, Alex, please crack that brew, man. Please. This is Nomad At Night.
It's all the way in my fridge over there. I'm not gonna walk all the way to my fridge again.
Man, you get up anytime you feel like and go get that beer, man. This is that kind of show, man. We do that around here. But just paint that picture for me, because now I'm trying to imagine. Did he come in from another room before he said that to you guys? Was he right there in proximity the whole time? You had eyes on him. He was right there. So nobody got to him and gave him a little nugget or anything. You sure about that?
So the way it's set up in the halashall media room, we have all of these little cubicles all in a row, and Schrock sits right next to me. So our little zone in the media room, it's Courtney Cronin, then Schrock, then myself, then Nick Moriano. And then behind us, it is Adam Hogue, Mark Grody, and Chris Emma. So that's our little squad. And no, we were all just sitting there, eyes glued to the TV, waiting for whatever was going to happen. And he called his shot, and it was wild.
Well, before I ask you the next question, first of all, tell Courtney Cronin, quit curving me. We love her over here. We would love to see her over here. She'll be our first ever female reporter on the Nomad Network. And then we just look for that kind of diversity. I think she's excellent anyway. I don't give a damn if she was a male or female, whatever. She's excellent at what she does, and I would love to see her on here. Tell her to quit curving me. We love her over here. But
I'll put in a good word. And yes, she is an unbelievable reporter. She's really good at what she
is. I agree with that 110%. But okay, so what I was going to get to with you is, did you get a chance to get up close with those guys and ask them any questions or anything like that, or was it just the presser and you guys were out of there?
So we've gotten an opportunity to talk a little bit, and I mean a little bit, with Caleb and with Rome. But otherwise, it is short press conferences on Zoom right after we talk right after the players are picked, pretty much, and
Mm-hmm.
we did that. So we did that with all 5 guys. We had the very quick press conference right after the draft pick was made.
So what you give me? I mean, don't give me the cereal box cover cutout of what you thought of Caleb Williams. Tell me what it is. What's your sense of him?
Well, my sense of him was, I mean, that guy is so comfortable in the spotlight. I shared a little bit of this on the Under Center podcast, but for those who haven't listened, if you have listened, I'm sorry, it's going to be a bit of a repeat story. But it really struck me, and this goes for Caleb and for Rome. When they brought in those 2 players for their introductory press conference, it was more people in that press conference room that I have ever seen before, more cameras than I have ever seen before. I mean, obviously, because it's the biggest story in the NFL. It was jam-packed. I'm talking about every desk. As extra desks brought in were filled. People lined up against the walls, spilling out into the room next door, to the point that every time the door opened and somebody else walked in, the reaction was like, whoa, there's a lot of people in here. But the 2 of them in that scenario, just in a room packed with people, bright lights, so many cameras in their face, just did not seem fazed at all. And I could see a lot. I don't care what kind of athlete you are, being a little like, looking around like, geez, this is a circus. I mean, it didn't even seem to register with the 2 of them. They just seemed like so ready for that moment that I was impressed. I was impressed by that.
Someone told me, or not told me, but I seen somewhere somebody tagged me that this guy has been doing media training since he was in high school. You ever hear anything like that?
I don't know anything about that, but I would say it would not surprise me, because I know that ever since he's been little boy, he has been getting ready for this moment. Everybody knows it was a goal of his to be the number 1 overall draft pick, and then beyond that, win a whole lot of Super Bowls and be the greatest quarterback ever. And everything I've heard, it's like every step of the way has been intentional, every decision well thought out, so much preparation to make sure he's ready for that moment. So it would not surprise me in the least. I would actually be surprised if he didn't have some sort of media training before this.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting, man, because I watched him on the pivot. I don't know if you got a chance to watch that one with Brian Clark. Everybody's seen at least a couple excerpts of it. And, he did, I was, me, I was going to support Justin until he left here or not, and then once it was apparent that we were going to draft this kid, I did everything I could to figure out what I can figure out about him. And until he got on the pivot, I think what came across and what sat with me was this idea that, if there's anybody ever ready for the amount of pressure he's about to receive, I know he's physically ready to do it. I think he's ready to answer those questions on the field. Only thing I worry about, Alex, and this is a legit concern, is if this thing doesn't get off to the right start. How the adoration is real right now. People can absolutely adore this kid and cannot wait for him to get foot on this field. But if things don't go right for whatever reason, those first few 4 or 5 games or so, how that might change and how he might react to it is a legit concern of mine. He's not like Justin. Justin just absolutely ignored everything that was on social media. You didn't know Justin Fields was there. He reacts to everything, it seems that way. And how's he going to handle that if things don't go the right way? If they go left early in the season, which I don't expect, but things could happen. He's a rookie, How do you think he might respond to that?
I have no reason to believe that he wouldn't respond to that well. I mean, he knows that growing pains are possible, but he says he doesn't think about them. It's like that doesn't even cross my mind. And I know a lot of people make a lot out of him crying in his mom's arms after a game, but that's just like a thing that happened after a football game. And it's not like it negatively impacted him moving forward. It's not like he fell apart after that game and all of a sudden he's throwing 3 interceptions and he's taking all these sacks after that. And, this guy who had been built up and now had been laid bare on national television, it was his demise. Nah, he was fine. Like, okay, yeah, he had that moment with his mom, and then he went back to work, and he was still an exceedingly good quarterback. He's got like one bad game to his name. That's the Notre Dame game. So when he has faced adversity, and he has faced adversity, he's already shown that, like, I can still go out the next week and be that guy. So I have no reason to believe that because it's not an if, when he faces adversity in the NFL, that he'll be equipped to handle it.
Here's to hoping you're right, man. I'm gonna take a shot of Patron to that, but I hope you're right, man. I do deep down feel like he's uniquely qualified, and I like that. I love the confidence, man, and I share that same spirit with him. That confidence brims over into cockiness at times, and I believe a really good quarterback, in order for you to get to the levels he's trying to push himself to, you're going to have a certain it's got to have a through line of a little bit of cockiness in there, but you've got to, it's a fine line that you have to walk so that people don't absolutely view you in that light and hate you, but he might like that. You never know. But it's looking forward to how that all turns out, man. I do feel really good about where we are. The things that Poles did to infrastructure wise, the pieces he put around this kid to get him ready. Now the pressure, there's a lot of people. I know you're active on Twitter and other spaces. It's clearly going down the road, Alex, of they expect playoffs from this kid.
Yeah.
Do you think that's fair?
Ooh, that's a good question. Is it fair? I think that maybe playoffs. It's tough because I think the NFC North has gone from one of the weaker divisions to now one of the stronger divisions pretty quickly. The Lions are obviously legit. The Packers, this is again something I've talked about with Josh Schrock. We think the Packers are ahead of the Bears in their rebuild. I know the Bears have done a lot of work, and they have turned the page, in my mind, on paper. Football's not played on paper. On paper, they have turned the page. They have turned the page from rebuilders to contenders, right? He has all the weapons. There should be no excuses from a roster standpoint. That said, it is still tough to play quarterback in the NFL as a rookie. CJ Strouds are rare. For the most part, they struggle. So should the Bears be better than last season? Yes. Should they win more games than last season? Yes. Could I see them winning 9 to 10 games next year? Absolutely. Is 9 to 10 games? If they win 10 games, they should make the playoffs. But they might be fighting for a wild card spot. So I guess it's a long answer, but I don't know. I don't think it would be a failure. How about this? I don't think it would be a failure if the Bears won 9 games and missed the playoffs, because like clearly they're improving. And then you have a lot to build off for next year, his second year in the offense, his second year with all these players. I guess I will answer your question though. If you have playoff expectations, I don't think that's unfair, because he, this is who he is supposed to be. All the tools are around him. The defense with the Chicago Bears is nothing like the defense of the USC Trojans. So he'll have the tools, and the team will have the tools, and they can do it.
As they say all the time, that old saying, man, a fair is where you go, a place where you go judge pigs. That's what you do. But
I like that. I've never heard that. I like that.
That's what I heard, man, a long time ago. There's no fairness in life, man, other than that old farm. I mean,
that's a Midwest cliche, man. Brian's heard it before.
Why you gonna put that on Brian, man? He didn't do nothing to you. But hey, man, look. How about this? Maybe we're asking the wrong person about that question. That question you just answered. Maybe that question should be put to polls. That 4th round punter selection is a move made by a person that feels like his team is built. Am I wrong in my assumption of that or assessment of that?
No, that was my first reaction too. I think when you are drafting a punter in the 4th round, I don't think it's a bad pick, right? I don't think it's a bad pick to take a punter in the 4th round, especially when best in the class, probably best in a while, and there are probably not many punters coming out afterwards that are going to be his caliber, right?
Did you see any of the footage of this kid?
I have.
Did I get it?
No, I'm asking Nomad. I'm sure you have, Alex. I'm quite certain you have. Did you take a look, Nomad?
I was just released from a tornado probably about 15 minutes from before the show, man. I don't know what the hell's going on right now. No, I have not gotten a chance to see him.
The punter's insane. Like honest to God, you kind of have to stop. If you take a look at this punter's footage, you can stop and go, okay, like, yeah, I see why he went and he grabbed this guy in the 4th, because this is a game-changing punter. It really actually is, or at least in my opinion. Alex, what do you think?
Well, I think that it was a needed upgrade too. Trenton Gill, who they drafted in the 7th round, was solid his rookie year, but last year honestly was just not that good.
Yeah,
we crunched the numbers. His net yards per punt was dead last in the NFL. Touchbacks, bottom 5. And there was something else I forget that was also bottom 5, but touchbacks and net yards per punt. I mean, those are opportunities to pin a team back and play to your strengths, right? You have this bend don't break defense that's predicated on generating pressure now and then taking the ball away. And if you pin offenses back, now you're playing to your defensive strengths. And when you're playing to your defensive strengths, then you're also playing to your offensive strengths by giving them short fields, extra opportunities, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a clear upgrade. It's a clear upgrade. And those are those can be turning point moments, right? Special teams is a big part of the game. And when you go from one of the worst in a few separate categories to potentially a guy who can be, I asked him, do you feel like a weapon when you're out there? And he's like, hell yeah, I do. Of course. Like when I'm out there, I feel like a weapon. I'm out there to do my job and help this team win a football game. It's not just a rote play, you know? And we have somebody like that in a phase of the game that is important. It can influence an outcome of a game to help you win. It can put you in a far better position to go win a football game.
You know what, Alex? The people that view our show on a regular basis, they've heard me tell my university stories when I played football, and the way we treated kickers and punters while we were in school, man. It's not a good thing. Yes, we made them sit at a tiny ass desk in the cafeteria while we ate at big long tables. Yes, we did, because they weren't necessarily part of the team. If you knew the functions of a kicker and punter during a football, like when you're doing two-a-days and spring training, spring workouts, everything that football players have to do to maintain, peak physicality to be able to play football. They don't do that stuff.
Yeah. No, they're off doing their own thing during practice. They're for sure off doing their own thing during practice because
they're over there kicking and shit and stretching out.
Yeah.
Man, they're not doing much. They're not doing a whole bunch of nothing. So whether we were right or wrong, I walked into that kind of culture, and they just kind of gave the kicker and punter the stiff arm. Nobody mistreated them or did anything physical to them or anything like that. It was just like, yeah, go sit over there, get away from here. But when we were out on the town, everybody was part of the team, whether you were a kicker or not. But that was in close proximity type stuff around the building.
Sure. And to your first point of this smells like a move for a GM that believes his team can win, yes, because now I agree with that, because now you're looking at the margins, right? You're looking at the margins where you can win, right? Obviously, if you feel good about your playmakers, these are the guys who are on the field. I mean, a lot more snaps. If you're feeling good about your offensive line, you're feeling good about your playmaking, you obviously got your quarterback. Your defense is rock solid. Could they use more pass rushers? Every team could use more pass rushers. But it's a move that to me signals we feel pretty dang good about our roster, that we are willing to spend this capital to upgrade a spot in the margins, that is going to help us win football games.
So J2K, I don't want to hog Alex's time too much so that you don't get a chance. You've been very quiet. Do you want to ask him something?
Yeah. Hey, Alex. I do have a question. The Bears fans, we've been pounding the table for center to be drafted the last 2 years. We could have had John Michael Schmidt the year before this year. We could have drafted Cedric Van Pran instead of a punter. In your eyes, has Poles neglected this position with guys like Lucas Patrick, Ryan Bates, Coleman Shelton? And is there any chance that we sign Connor Williams when he's healthy?
Wow, it's a good question. I don't know. That would be surprising to me. It's been a long time since I've looked at the salary cap, and it'll be interesting to see what the cap is like after the rookies are signed. If they're gonna make a free agent signing, center, interior guard could be a spot. I think defensive tackle is a spot that I'm looking to first, because right now, defensive tackle, you've got Andrew Billings and Zach Pickens kind of as your backup nose. You have Jervon Dexter and Byron Cowart as your 3Ts, and Zach Pickens can play 3-tech as well. And then I know you're going to rotate DeMarcus Walker in at 3-tech some, but to me, that seems like if I am looking through Ryan Poles' eyes, that's probably where I think they would spend whatever cap space they have left, because I believe when you just, read between the lines, Bears are pretty high on Ryan Bates. They obviously tried to acquire him a few years ago, but the Bills matched the qualifying offer. Then they went out and traded for him again. And then even after they signed Coleman Shelton, from what I've heard, and this is just from what I've read, it seems like Ryan Bates is really going to be the guy to get that first crack at starting over Coleman Shelton, who was a starter before. So I look at that and I say the team's probably pretty high on Ryan Bates. And then they address that depth piece with Coleman Shelton. So I'm going to reserve judgment. I think your question is a good one, and your critical eye is totally fair and warranted after Lucas Patrick didn't work out. And the backup plan also didn't work out. But I'll give him the benefit of the doubt to see if Ryan Bates is that dude. And I know Ryan Bates is coming off a season where he was a backup. But I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt that either Ryan Bates or Coleman Shelton will work out. And if not, if they don't, then I think you can say, yeah, you probably should have invested more, because center is obviously a hugely important spot on the offensive line.
Right. Yeah. It kind of seems a little bit like deja vu from last year.
Yeah. I mean, I understand why you feel that way. So we'll see. I'm definitely going to be curious. That's something that we're going to be looking at. That's something we're going to be talking about. And if there are struggles, yeah, that could have been a misstep. That could have been an opportunity for them to add elsewhere, do other things, reallocate resources differently. But we'll see. If Ryan Bates or Coleman Shelton are good, doesn't matter. It's all good.
So
Good. Thank you.
I think we're going to be okay there, though, right? Like, we had actual physical problems snapping the football last year. When we didn't have actual problems snapping, it was because Lucas Patrick was physically hurt and couldn't play. Like, the man could snap. He did the job well. Unfortunately, most of the time he was on the sidelines. That's really where we were. I think both these guys can snap. As long as they can stay healthy, I think we're going to have an upgrade at center.
Can they snap and block, though? Can they snap and then get out in front and create holes? And then can they snap and pass protect?
Thank you for saying
that. About the other things.
Hey, Brian, you got anything you want to ask Alex, man? I'm not trying to rush him, man. I don't know what kind of time you're working with, Alex. But I can give you a few more minutes. I didn't mean to trample over you, Oliver, like that. From this perspective, from this viewpoint, I think it is fair to view it as an upgrade right now. You can argue it's an upgrade.
But Coleman Shelton coming in as the backup, presumably, reportedly. And then going with a guy, right? Lucas Patrick was a backup who they gave a shot to start. It didn't work out. Now you're, again, giving a guy who was a backup a chance to start. So you are following that similar kind of pattern. And that's not to say Ryan Bates won't succeed because Lucas Patrick didn't. But it's worth a critical eye.
Brian, you want to ask him something?
I don't know if this would be considered a question, but I'm just thinking about the justification of picking a punter. I mean, we know that Caleb ain't going to be able to score on every drive. Does the Bears have enough confidence in our defense that getting a good punter that can pin the other team deep down, will that help out? And with Santos having a strong leg, at least get 3 points from a kick. Does that make sense why he picked the punter where he did?
Yeah, I do believe so. And you can argue that could the Bears have traded back from 122 and still gotten the punter and Austin Booker instead of trading up? Maybe, potentially. I don't know what intel they got. I don't know what they're working with. So it's hard to say. We don't. Obviously, the Bears believed they needed to stick there to pick the punter for some reason. And obviously, they also felt good enough about Austin Booker to trade up and get him again. It's similar to what happened, in my opinion, with Jervon Dexter and Tyreek Stevenson, where outsiders are like, whoa, that felt like a reach on Jervon. And then you trade up to get Tyreek Stevenson. Why not pick Tyreek Stevenson where you were and then pick Jervon Dexter where you were instead of doing this manipulating? Obviously, they had some intel telling them this is what we need to do, whether it's analytics, whether it's what they're hearing on the phones, whatever it is. They had some intel that said this is why we need to do this here. And like I was saying before, I mean, Taylor is an upgrade over Trenton Gill, who really struggled last year. In a lot of key metrics, he was not good. And I want to say I am not a punting expert. let me go with that. But if I recall correctly, I believe there were some hang time consistency issues, which then make it difficult for the coverage team to get down there and do their jobs, right? It's a full unit that goes into that punt situation. And Matt Eberflus laid it out. I don't remember the numbers exactly, but he was basically saying, like, listen, at minimum, we're looking at these kind of punt numbers, and at maximum, we're looking at these kind of punt numbers. So it's important to us, and this is a way we can win in the margins, and it's a way that we can put our defense in more favorable situations. And, I mean, the amount of touchbacks they had last year was not good. It was not good. If you can turn those touchbacks into possessions inside the 10-yard line, that is just so much more beneficial for your defense that is built with Montez Sweat now to really pressure the quarterback and create takeaways. I mean, now you are really, really helping Caleb Williams. You're not only keeping points off the board, you're really, really helping Caleb Williams. So I don't have a problem with them drafting a punter. If you want to nitpick drafting him at 122 instead of trying to maximize, like, yeah, maybe that argument could be made. But again, I don't get, and this is just me personally, I'm not a guy who gets super caught up in the quote unquote value of the pick. You hear a lot about ADP because people play fantasy football and you do a ton of mock drafts with ADPs before you select your players. People do mock drafts leading up to the NFL draft, and that also spits out an ADP, right? In all the mock drafts, Rome Odunze goes at 9 point whatever. Bears got him at 9. They nailed the value, right? Except ADP isn't real. That's not real. The NFL draft happens once. There's no average draft position. It's just draft position, right? And here's another thing that is for sure. NFL big boards while sometimes close to public big boards, do not match public big boards. You know, there are going to be players that the public is super high on that the NFL is not. And there are going to be players that the NFL is super high on and the public is not. So there's a disconnect there as well. So that's why I don't really worry about value. I don't really worry about they drafted the punter at 122 compared to, oh, maybe they could have traded back and drafted the punter at 144. Maybe they could have, but at the end of the day, they drafted the punter. And if the punter is good, then it's a good pick, right? If you're using your picks in a way that you're building out your roster well, and you are adding more often than not, nobody's 100%, but if you're hitting and you're filling out roster spots and you're filling out depth, then you're doing a good job. And nobody's going to care what number the guy was picked at.
You know what, Alex? I put a serious microscope to this roster, you know, after the season ended, and I came away with some conclusions. And everybody that watches this network on a regular basis, they will tell you that Nomad's been pounding the table all damn off season about we need to address the left tackle. And if we were to, with the 4 picks, it'd probably be a good idea if they went, what I thought they would do is get Caleb the weapon that he probably wants or needs. I'm pretty sure they were in consultation with Caleb about this pick. I don't give a damn what nobody says. They talked to that kid about that. But and if they did that with only 4 picks, I thought it would be a good idea to reach into next year's capital and get a guy that you really covet. And they ended up doing both things. And I'm not patting myself on the back here, but what I'm getting at is Ryan Poles. When I tell you I examined this roster, I really did. I put a serious microscope to it. Did you hear? I think it was day 1 or day 2. I think it was day 2. Ryan Poles went to the podium and talked about the pick, and he said it's going to be really hard to make this roster. Did your antennas go up? And when he said that, what positions come to your mind when he says something like that, and why?
To me, when I hear him say that, I interpret it as like, we don't feel a need to trade back and add all of these picks in the 5th, 6th, 7th round. We don't feel a need to add so many UDFAs because we don't need to fill out the roster. The roster is pretty set. And when I heard that, I was thinking about guys 50 through 53, to be honest with you. That was my interpretation of that. But it's also an indication of the work that Ryan Poles has done. Like you said, when you put a microscope to the roster, he's done a really good job of, in 2022, when he took over, tearing it down to the studs, not trying to do a patchwork situation, and rebuilding this roster in his image. And it seems like he did a really good job. Again, football is not played on paper. But I think that's also a moment of reflection of like, look at how far we've come. Look at where we were in 2022, where I traded Khalil Mack, I traded Roquan Smith, and I'm adding free agents on short prove-it deals to see who sticks and who doesn't. A lot of those guys didn't stick. And in the meantime, we built through the draft. We added Kyler Gordon. We added Jaquan Brisker. We added Darnell Wright. You know, I could go on and on and on and on. Tyreek Stevenson, Terrell Smith. You know, they added a lot of young talent. And then they filled in the gaps with some key free agents. So now it's like, hey, our needs are a little bit smaller. Now we can go get that punter.
What'd you think about Booker? What'd you think about Booker, man? What was your thoughts?
Austin Booker?
Yeah, I mean,
so along these lines, right? When you're looking at the microscope, microscope, as you say, it's like depth. We're talking depth. We're talking about rotational guys. When Braxton Jones got hurt last year, Larry Borum wasn't getting the job done as the backup. So now you add Matt Pryor in free agency, and you add a young guy. You increase the competition for left tackle. And maybe next year, maybe not in 2024, but maybe in 2025, you've got a guy who's competing with Braxton. Austin Booker, it's very similar. He, in my opinion, is not going to be a starting snap, like percentage defensive end kind of guy, but he's a dude who, Bear Scout John City broke it down for us. And basically he said he can beat you a lot of ways, which the Bears really like. It's not just speed off the edge. He's also got a counter, but it's not just the counter. He can also beat you with a little bit of power. So he's got 3 things to go to. Totally inexperienced, super young, high ceiling player. But because the Bears have Montez Sweat, and because they have DeMarcus Walker, who did play much better once Montez Sweat came to town, just like everybody else, right? Every single person on that defense played better when Montez Sweat came to town. Because they have DeMarcus Walker, you can take a flyer on an Austin Booker who has so many traits, who's so young, who stands to add a little muscle, right? Fill out his frame a little bit. And you can see the tools. You can see the tool set. He's got that motor. That's another thing, right? He's got this motor that you can't teach that the Bears love. So I think it's a really great pick. And I think the Bears are in a really good position to add a player like that. You've seen flashes of production. Last year in a really rotational role, he had, 8 sacks? So let's see what he can do if he puts on some muscle. When we get him with Travis Smith, who's a great defensive line coach, who is a creative defensive line coach. Travis Smith is a guy who schemes up a lot of really cool stuff for his players. So let's get him in the building and see what he can do. This is what the Bears are saying. So I think it's a really, really solid pick for a 5th round pass rusher.
So this is Alex Shapiro from NBC Sports Chicago, one of my favorites to come on this show ever. And I stand by that, man. I really appreciate him at every opportunity I can get when he comes on the show, man. I feel informed. You're there. You do a good job of painting what you see, the energy you're getting from the building. It's I'm there without being there with your eyes and you telling me what's going on. But when you start thinking about it, you start really, really thinking about it. Are we? I think how about this? Let me ask you this: the UDFAs, and we just signed a pretty much a bucket of them. Is there any so far? I don't know if you had a chance to really sit down and really dig into them all. I haven't been able to. I'll be honest with you. Very, very briefly. I got a little bit of information. J2K's got much more than I do. You'll find that out after Alex is gone. But is there anyone that stands out to you? I know the one that I think about is, Keith Randolph is the one I know about, and the other one is Hilliard, the running back from the HBCU, and only because as an HBCU podcaster that I follow, and he does a really good job with those guys out there that don't get enough attention. But is there a UDFA or two that sticks out to you?
I'll be totally honest. I've done 0 work on the UDFAs. When I got home last night, I ate dinner. I watched a lot of TV with my brain completely off. And then today I was more just cleaning up a little bit of draft work from over the weekend. So I have not dug into the UDFAs. However, one that caught my eye was the DT you're talking about, the guy from Illinois, the Fighting Illini.
Keith Randolph.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I saw that he signed a pretty hefty contract. That catches my eye. And as we discussed, I thought DT was a place where this team could stand to add, where this team could stand to let's see what happens with this depth, with this kind of backup rotational role competition. Is Zach Pickens ready to step up as a rotational DT? What can this Randolph guy do? So he's a guy that I'm going to be keeping my eye on rookie minicamp. If he's really, really popping, maybe he's got a shot to make the team. Every year there's a guy who I'm like, wow, this guy's popping. Does he have a shot to make it to the team? And he makes it all the way to the end, and then gets signed to the practice squad and never makes the team.
Hey, Alex,
So we'll
that
see.
quarterback from Western Kentucky's got some Brock Purdy shit going on. I was watching this tape earlier, right before we came on the show. And it's like a stronger arm Brock Purdy going on there, man. That's what I saw.
Hey, compete with Tyson Bagent for that backup job as the developmental QB. Competition everywhere. Who was it? The Hound, Micah Baskerville. That was my guy last year. Micah Baskerville. I was like, this guy, he's everywhere. Let's get him on special teams. Let's get him to figure it out. That didn't happen. Practice squad guy.
All right, I don't want to hog up any more of Alex's time. If anybody else has any questions for Alex, shoot. He said he's got a couple minutes, but we don't want to keep him longer than he needs to be here, man. He's got to go to work tomorrow, man, and do regular people shit. So give it to
I
him.
got one quick question. So, Alex, I love looking at players and draft prospects and grinding out the tape and stuff. But what I also love is the stories behind these kids. As a journalist, how much fun is it to hear a story like Karan meeting Eberflus a year before on the golf course, saying, "One day I'll be a Chicago Bear"?
Incredible. Love it. I'm with you. I mean, I love the human element. I love those storylines. That's some of the most fun stuff that I write. Obviously, we have to do a lot of daily turns. We have to talk a lot about the games. But when I get to write a human story, some of my favorite stuff to do. So when you hear that, I mean, everybody loves. How could you not love that? You have a guy from Yale who runs into Matt Eberflus, coach of the Chicago Bears, and essentially calls his shot. Is like, dude, you're going to draft me. And Flus is like, all right, man, I'll look into you. And then they do, and they're like, oh, yeah, actually, he's a pretty good player. And then they draft him. I mean, that's unbelievable.
Wait a minute. So did that, you thought that was just you know what? I heard that, and I'm just like, oh, were you supposed to be saying this, Eberflus? Were you even supposed to be contacting this guy at that point? It started to, when I heard him say that, I was just like, man, is he having a fraudulent slip or something? Did he? Maybe I don't know how this works. Where
is that against the rules?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I was like, is he supposed to be saying that? Or
I mean, the prospects have contacts with coaches.
Karan's dad golfs at that golf course with Matt Eberflus.
Right.
So, you know, they're like on the tee together, and the son walks up and says, Matt Eberflus, you're going to draft me one day.
I don't know if he was golfing with his dad, but I know the dad and Flus were at the same club or something.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, it was just like it was as if he had run into him in the grocery store and said, you're going to draft me one day. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know what the rules are on that. I don't see why there would be anything wrong with that, but I'm not sure. I loved that though.
I don't know the rule. I don't know any rules when it comes to that. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's a good question.
That was a couple of years back, though. It wasn't like a couple of months ago. It's not like a tampering thing. That's what you're worried about.
Yeah. I think they can have contact with players.
Right. It's not like he was a free agent that they were going to
or signed to a team even.
Right.
Alex, before you leave, do you have 16 more seconds?
16. Yes.
Good.
All right, Alex, throw the second flag on his ass. And
Alex Shapiro, who's that?
Throw
Adam Shapiro.
On him and kick him out the game now.
You've got the wrong guy.
Don't make me crazy, please. Hey, it's been a long week, my friend.
Yes, it has.
Hey, we appreciate you, Alex, man. I know you. Hey, you gave us 50 minutes of your time, man, and that was beautiful. That is, hey, man. Yeah, everybody, shout out Alex Shapiro in the chat, man. Love this guy. Love when he comes on. But
thanks, Alex,
for those notes, man. I can't wait for those camp notes. And when is the first rookie mini coming up? Is that next week or the week after?
I believe it's in 2 weeks.
2 weeks? Damn,
I think so. Off the top of my head, I think it's not this weekend, but the next weekend.
Okay.
So we're gonna have a ton of great stuff. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
Playoffs, Alex.
Thanks a million.
I need an early prediction, man.
An early prediction?
Yeah. Playoffs.
You know what? It's summery outside. It's kind of muggy. It feels like a summer night. So it's time for me to enter good vibes only season. Let's say it. Playoffs. It's a playoff team. Good vibes season is open. That's my prediction. They're going to make the playoffs.
Imagine this. Season of positivity.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good vibes only season. Thank you so much for having me, guys. It's always a ton of fun. Great show. Really appreciate you all having me on, as always. And have a wonderful rest of your evening. Enjoy the rest of the offseason. I'm sure I'll be talking to you at some point over these mini camps, training camp, et cetera, et cetera. So you all be well until the next time I talk to y'all.
Thanks, Alex.
Thank you, Alex.
Man, Alex is always welcome at the barbecue, my man. Appreciate him. Hey, that's Alex Shapiro from NBC Sports Chicago. I really do enjoy him, man. I don't just say that stuff, man. Alex is a ball. His demeanor, his disposition is always positive, man. I just love good energy, man. And for no other reason than that, I love that guy, man, for real, man. But hey, appreciated him, man. What'd you think about some of the stuff he said? Let's start with how about this, kids? Let's give some shout outs. But you just got into the show and we didn't really get a chance to do that.
Well, you know what? I don't know if it's Alex Shapiro. I don't know if it's this draft, but we got a lot of new heads in the chat today. So, Dr. Earl, what's cracking? Victor Dragon. I know I've seen some of you a couple of times here and there, Victor. I've seen you a couple of times. Scottish Bear, what's cracking? Smitty, NJ, what it do, NJ? DJ Breeze, how you doing? Let's
That's
just
my
see.
homeboy, man, DJ Breeze.
Hey, I know some of these guys I've seen in the chat, but I want to make sure to get everybody mixed in here. Who's not quite Birdman 24K. Birdman, what it do? I do the bird. Caca. That's the best I can do for you by way of birds. Billy Ocean, how you doing, Billy? Leo Factor, J2K's here with us. He's down with us. BB, man, Kerry Franklin, Trapper Keeper, Flex Diggs. Man, we got a Ram Pack House, Eco Bean. Levante Rogers is with us today. King Booker World, thanks for repping with us. Thanks for repping all weekend. It's been like 22 hours of Bears content this weekend. Thanks for kicking it. Hendricks, Dobbsy, man, yeah, we got a packed house in the chat. Lawrence Cook, there was a couple others. Oh, Brad Holmes is rubbing it in from yesterday. You guys had a good draft, Brad Holmes. You guys had a good draft. That's clearly done.
Who's your Heat Radio? Michael Williams. Man.
Michael Williams, Bultarski, Jeremy Munoz, man, Ant Labor's with us, STC, man, Paul Martin, Gucci Finesse, Vizzo Joe, KQ's with us.
I know I'm not the only drunk motherfucker on the show. There's other drunks up in here, man. Who is it? What y'all drinking?
Might be me. Might be me. I said Flex Diggs, Black Diamond, Oliver Chapman, holy Illinois Jones, Who's Your Heat Radio, man, holy cow, like all kinds of craziness going on in the chat. Thanks and thanks for repping with us, and thanks to Alex Shapiro, man. Alex, you always come with some crazy Bears knowledge, and I appreciate it. I'm always down for it. I definitely follow all of your stuff, Alex. At NBC and on Twitter, so I suggest Maniacs do the same. But thanks for hanging out with us, man. So
he says he's new to the social. Jose from Puerto Rico.
Oh! Our guy Jose Sanchez, just in time. Oh, James Joseph is in the building too, man. Oh, Crimson, you're slipping, Crimson. Anyhow, it's been a crazy weekend. I'm stoked with what we put together as a team, and I think we're in for Alex. I think Alex kind of hit the nail on the head. I think we're in for a summer positivity, guys. We're gonna call it like the summer of George, the Seinfeld summer of George. It's gonna be a summer positivity. I'm super stoked.
Hold on,
let's keep it positive.
I gotta throw a flag on. It's Crimson, you dig? What do you mean no drinks? But I have methods of relaxation. Let me put that up.
That's okay. That means Crimson don't drink.
I'm throwing flag on that. Flag on this one. What do you mean, man? What do you mean? What you got? Matter of fact, what you got on my 40 is Crimson, you dig? And if you don't know what that movie is, that's called Friday with Ice Cube, the star. And if you haven't seen that movie, Crimson, you dig? You're weird, and I don't like it. I'm just kidding. But check that out, man.
You know what? I have to give a special shout out to my guy, Keith the Bishop. Yo, Keith, where you at, dog? Where you at? I miss you. This weekend's been crazy, and I know you got to spend at least a little bit of it with us on Monday, or what was it? I don't even know what day it is anymore at this point. Let's be real about it. But
I'm messing with your Crimson. I'm just bullshitting with you.
Big love to the Bishop. My guy Scooby Palooza's in the building. We get names from all over the world, I'm sure. I've been blowing this up because of how much work we put in, and I think it's starting to show in the chat here. So, see, Crimson don't need no drinks. Crimson just grooving either way, man. Crimson grooving. Oh man, hey guys, we've got a football team, guys. We got a football team. We don't have worries. In this thing for the next few months.
What's going on, Chris? Yeah, some people.
How you feeling, Chris?
Chris ain't there.
Chris gone.
Yeah, man.
Took 5. J2K, you with us?
No, I'm here, man.
Yes, sir.
I was just muted. It's been a long week, man. You know what? I'm excited, man. I mean,
I thought you were going up from the ENJ.
I'm just sitting over here now, man. I ain't irked and jerked in a while, but you know, it was a long draft. It was a long week. This has been building up, man, for this last 3 days for what, 4 months now. So, you know, we're over the horizon. We're over the hill and looking at the horizon. So, I'm excited, man. I hope my guy is everything he's supposed to be, and I can't wait to play Pittsburgh in the Super Bowl, man. So it's good to see everybody. I know I took yesterday off.
You don't put that kind of evil on me, Chris.
Everybody, that'd be interesting, man. It's Pittsburgh, Chicago Super Bowl. But
that
yeah,
ain't happening. See that now.
Hey, we never know, man. It's the season.
I'm talking about
optimism.
Pittsburgh, not Chicago. We going to the Super Bowl. You're down straight.
It would be great. That would be great to see, man. But yeah, I'm just I wasn't here with you guys yesterday. I know you put on a marathon, but it's been a great weekend, and I'm glad everybody has been here with us. And man, let's go forward, move on. J2K.
Yes, sir.
What's up, man?
What's up? Well, the draft is not over because we do have UDFAs to talk about.
Yes, we do.
We do, man. And J2K did some great leg work. And thank God for J2K. J2K is like right now, he's like he's not like the real ballistic missile nuclear weapon. He's like a tactical one that don't destroy the damn earth. He's a really dangerous weapon, but he's not the one that's going to destroy the earth. I mean, right now, J2K,
it's a very specific weapon.
What he did, what I'm saying is, Chris is like, he can destroy like galaxies and shit like that. But right now, the stuff that J2K just did for us today really helped me out, helped Chris out, for the simple fact that, man, I have been through so much in the past. I'm not the only one. You guys were here with me. It's just like I have been through a whole lot for the past 3 days, getting everything set up and making sure everything was going to be prim and proper, and all that stuff that goes on in your mind, trying to make sure you miss nothing. All that stuff is just mental anguish and, fatigue on your mind. And then the absolute marathon that we did was just crazy. And here came J2K just at the right time to do some leg work on these UDFAs. So I just wanted to give you a shout out, J2K, for being the tactical nuclear weapon that you are today, man. And he did all the stuff that I could not do. I briefly looked at some stuff, but I didn't get to put in the work that I knew I needed to get prepared and tell you guys what I know about these players. But J2K did a real good fucking job of it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad to have him here.
Thank you. Yeah, and I enjoy this stuff. So this is, if you enjoy your job, it's not work.
Hey, that's right, man.
That's what you keep telling yourself, man.
So how about it, man? You ready to get cutting, man? Because
yeah, let's chop it up. I've got quite a bit to say about each prospect.
Okay, who you want to start with?
Just if you guys want to roll them out, or we can go kind of in order of position. So you want to start with QB Austin Reed from Western Kentucky?
What you got, Chris?
Let's go.
I thought Dude was on it.
Noodle, you there? You bring up those RAD scores. So we don't have videos, but we got some RAD scores for you guys. I'll talk about what I saw in the tape for each one of these guys and give you kind of a forecast of what I think these guys can potentially do. So Austin Reed, he's got a ton of experience. 4-year starter, over 14,000 yards and 138 touchdowns in his career. He's a QB for Macaulay Corley. He's got a strong arm. He's pretty accurate. Little bit of a long throwing motion. Throws well on the run and off platform. He's got pretty good feet. He's not an athletic runner, but he's got good movement, and he is fearless when he does run. He will drop the shoulder. He trained with Caleb Williams in Florida during the draft process, and he has built quite a good relationship with him. The forecast, he could take Brett Rippon's job and in time could push Tyson Bagent for the backup spot. I really like this guy, and I guarantee he'll be on the practice squad, and there is some potential there because he does have a live arm.
What's his measurables, J2K?
6'1", 220.
Okay.
Can I start from the bottom and we'll work our way up? Here's what I thought when I looked at him on tape. Here's what I thought. Here's what I think about Tyson Bagent, who I thought was, I always thought that he was Getsy's guy. You know, when we got that guy, every new coordinator that goes into any building, I don't give a damn where you go, eventually you're going to get the quarterback of your choosing, whether it's a late draft pick, whether it's an early draft pick, or whether it's a UDFA. You're going to end up getting the quarterback that fits what you envision your offense being. Would you agree with that, J2K?
Yes.
Okay, so what I've always thought the whole time was Tyson Bagent, as much as people like this guy, I like him. I think he's going to end up being wherever Luke Getsy is, and that's out in Vegas. I think the offensive coordinator, this is his guy, and what you just said, what you just shared about him being closely working out with Caleb makes all kinds of damn sense right now. You know,
yeah.
Especially after looking at that, and I'm just like, okay, I can see how his skill set fits into what what's his name, the offensive coordinator has in mind. But I've always thought since Getsy left and got that job over there, I felt like if he got that job, he was going to try, because Tyson Bagent is going to end up on a practice squad eventually anyway, and when he does, Getsy's going to end up grabbing him. When you think so?
That wouldn't surprise me, and Austin Reed is serious competition for Bagent. Make no mistake. Now, granted, there's a lot of hype with Bagent's workout videos on the farm, so I do like the kid, and I'm excited to see where his growth is when he comes back. But make no mistake, Austin Reed is some serious competition for that backup position.
I'm not trying to run him out of town or anything like that. Me and my just watching football enough and just knowing how pieces move when coaches move, you know, who they'll go after the guys that they coveted. You know what I mean? Getsy probably stood on the table for Bagent, and for good reason. He's a good quarterback. He's gonna, if they leave him in any way in limbo, Getsy's gonna do what he can to get him in Vegas. And I think this move was Poles preparing for that actuality. I mean, I don't know if anybody thought about that, but that's what I thought when I seen this pickup. Anybody? Yep. But yeah, I like that. I mean, he's got a good, strong arm on him. I thought he was pretty accurate, to be honest with you. And it was he started to remind me. I told Alex this when he was on the show, that I started to see Brock Purdy with a much stronger arm on film. You know, I only got to watch like 15 minutes of it, but you know, that's what I started seeing. I saw Brock Purdy with a much stronger arm. Did you see?
Yeah, and he's got clean feet and the strong arm. Granted, I think you need to speed up the release a little bit, but that's very true about all young quarterbacks. Just getting up to an NFL level quick release.
Hey, careful, Nomad. You're unsettling the Bagency out there.
I'm not trying. Man, I like Tyson Bagent, man. I'm
just Bagency.
This is regular shit that happens, man. They
ruffled the Bagency.
They can make a move for him, man. That was. I'm pretty sure that was Getsy's guy.
And competition is never a bad thing.
And what's nice is that we're finally building competition, even with guys that we like, and say, "Hey, Bagent, Bajan's got a bright future, especially for a UDFA. He really does. But we actually found another guy who is going to give him competition, and I like this guy, as much as Bajan when he was coming out.
You know what? There's this GM for the Bears who said something to the effect that we should probably draft a quarterback, somebody at this position, the most important position in the game, maybe once a year. And here we go. So here we got two guys that they can actually develop, and maybe one or two of these guys to turn into something that at the very least, even if he's not, even if they're not, the starting quarterbacks of the Bears ever, maybe they're trade caliber and they work into some decent trade capital down the road. If not,
and Shorty, I should have said before we talked about him, earmuffs on the Bajan talk. Earmuffs.
Yeah.
Hey man, I like Bajan too, man. I'm just, if you watch football long enough and watch the NFL long enough, you kind of get the politics of how stuff plays out and the chess pieces. It could, I hope we can hold on to him, but you never know what happens, man. You just don't, man. But we can't do the video right now, man, because we haven't figured out how to do that without getting the hell beat out of us on YouTube, because you will get dinged for that. So the videos, you can check those things out on your own. Check out all you can find on them. Maybe we can get Barrelissimo to do some all 22 on a few of these guys. I'll ask him about it. But for right now, I think I just like what I saw on film, man. As well as I like Tyson Bagent. I think it's going to be a good, let's just say it's going to be a nice, interesting competition to see those guys operate, because both of them will be brand new to what Shanewaldron is doing. So
look what you did, man. You got Mr. Shorty heard you. Mr. Shorty heard you from Bears country and came through. And now he's cussing you on some agency stuff. He heard you all the way from Bears country, dog.
Right.
Ruffled the agency.
Hey, where's Bears country, man? I'm still.
So that is a question.
I know that's a guy, man, but I ain't trying to throw no salt on Bagent. I'm just trying to legitimately picture what might happen. And J2K said it, man. You can see enough on film. You can see enough on film to see that he could probably give Bagent a pretty good run for his money. When you see him on film, you'll come away with the same. If you're looking at it objectively, you'll come away with the same response, man. I promise you will. But you ready to move on to another guy?
Yes, sir. All right. Offensive tackle, Theo Benedict from British Columbia, the Canadian. All right.
Well, I'd love to have comments on him. I have absolutely no comments on it. I have to look at Theo, man. What do you got?
It's all good. Look at the RAS score here. He is, 903. He's big. He's athletic. He's experienced at offensive tackle and offensive guard. I watched his offensive tackle tape. I think he's absolutely going to be an offensive guard through this process of training camp. He's patient. He doesn't overextend. He doesn't get over his feet often. He's a mauler. And when I say mauler, this guy finishes plays with an attitude. He's got great strength. He's not super fluid, so I think a move inside makes a little more sense, being a little more in a phone booth. But he does have decent quickness to get out into space, which is going to be great within this wide zone scheme. Once his hands are on a defender, he keeps his feet moving and will take guys out of the play. He'll finish them to the ground. He will not stop until the second whistle is blown. A forecast developmental offensive guard with some good traits, and he could make the practice squad, and he should make the practice squad and eventually battle for a roster spot.
So was he actually an available prospect in the NFL draft this weekend?
I believe so, yes.
He was. That's interesting. Let me peek now. Not a lot of kids come from Canada, to say the least. If he's made it through the Canadian ranks, I would be very surprised if he wasn't a monster prospect. Honestly.
I think he goes about 6'7". Someone asked, what's his size? I think he goes about 6'7", 305. And somebody mentioned, I think I saw in the chat, that he's definitely gonna need to pick up a few pounds, because if they kick him inside, this is where the big guys play at, man. You can't. I'm not saying he can't play at 305, but you definitely need a little bit more girth to be able to challenge one of those big dudes from, say, the Giants. I forget the guys. I think his name is Dexter something Lawrence. That dude right there will absolutely own you at 305. You need to start eating your Wheaties and all the fat back you can get in your belly, man, right now, because he's going to need it. 6'7" says, he doesn't have the longest arms, but he's got good length on him. You know what I mean? So 6'7" usually says tackle, to be quite frank with you, J2K. It's hard to find a 6'7" guard in the league. But
right. He doesn't look 6'7", like he doesn't look like he's long and tall. He looks very compact. Like his 6'7" frame, he really fits that frame. He doesn't look lengthy or long. He very much looks physically like a guard. And you see with the arm length being at 32, that's kind of what's telling me that Poles and Flus will move him inside, because they do like that length, the arm length on the outside. But if you look at the explosion rate on the RAS score here, it is elite. And you see that in tape. You see the pop, you see the strength and the power when he explodes into guys. And I think that when he moves to guard, that is going to make up for his weight, basically.
You might be right, J2K. I do think the physicality that he plays with lends to being an easy transition for him physically as a guard, man, because he'll the way he plays, man, he's got a disposition to him that says guard it won't be a real problem for him, because that's some nasty play down in there. And go ahead.
One thing's for sure, I'm glad he's out of that division now, because that's where my son's going to go play defensive end. So he'd be stacking up against this particular kid all the time. I'm quite glad he's out of the division. Good, well done, Chicago. But like he came again. This says a lot when he's coming from this side of the country. So he's a Toronto kid, and he's coming out of BC. That means he was highly scouted in Canada to move across the country. And BC's got one of the best programs in the country. Actually, I believe BC's program is where Chase came from as well, Chase Claypool. So, yeah, probably I'll have to take a look at some actual film. But I'd be surprised if he couldn't turn into an actual swing guard on the team. I would be very surprised.
Well, yeah. Low bottom end for Theo Benedict, the worst case scenario is he makes it to a practice squad, and he's got to get through rookie mini camps, veteran mini camps, and through a full training camp in order to get to there. And so each and every last one of these guys have their work cut out for them. Some a whole lot less than others. I think Keith Randolph can find a place on this roster. There's a couple other guys that we're going to talk about here later on that I think can find their ways on the way on this roster. But I'm not, and that's not taking away anything from Theo Benedict, because we can use a depth. And if he turns out to be a guy that they can work with, a guy that offensive line coach can really kind of build up in a quick way and get him up to snuff for NFL football, man, you never know. And that's why I say this all the time, man. The hell with where we got the guy from, when we got the guy. The fact that we got the damn guy, be happy that we got him, because some of these guys have something to them that you never know is there until they get put into that fire and that competition level and you see it. And so never, ever count a guy out because he came as a UDFA or was drafted late or was invited for a camp workout. Never, ever count those guys out, because you never know who you're kicking dirt on. But you ready for the next guy?
Yes, sir. Running back, kick returner, Ian Wheeler from Howard.
Ian Wheeler. Now this guy I know about. But go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So now the overall RAS score isn't super impressive, but if you look, he ran a 4.39 40-yard dash. And he's got very little running back experience. Everything he's done in college is pretty much primarily as a kick returner. He has about 60 attempts at running back per year, and I'll get to why that's important coming up. Kick returns, he's got 52 kick returns for 1,300 yards, averaging a little over 25 yards per return. Here, kick returner with great speed and power. While not overly shifty, makes quick cuts, breaks tackles, and absolutely separates from defenders. He's also got very good hands, even though he was seldomly used as a receiving running back. My forecast for him has the intangibles to be a good kick returner, a core special teamer, but he needs to show he can fill a backup running back spot to be kept around on the practice squad. There is a ton of upside for this kid because he's the speed, the power, he's stocky, he's got elite explosion on his first step. He's a north-south runner. He's not a guy who's going to be shifty, but if he can develop more in the run game, he absolutely could make the roster, make the practice squad, and possibly in time get onto the 53-man roster.
So I got Illinois Jones. I call him Illy Jones. I think he hit a bullseye. Look at the composite explosion grade, elite. Can you take that chat down for a second? 9.36 on the vertical. That means a 38.5, and the broad jump 10.05, 9.22. He's pretty goddamn explosive.
Yeah, and you see it on tape. The first step, I mean, he goes 0 to 60 instantly, and that's what you love to see. I did watch some of him as a running back, and it's one cut go. There's not a lot of dancing around. There's not a lot of influencing the linebackers to this hole or that hole. One cut go. As a kick returner, this guy could make some waves, and I'm excited to see him in preseason, what he can do, because he will be a highlight in preseason.
That lower body explosion, I'm telling you, he played in the MEAC division in HBCU. So you got MEAC, you have SWAC, and anybody that follows HBCU football, if you've been around that environment, man, there's always Walter Payton came from the SWAC HBCU. Everybody knows that. And so because he's coming out of an HBCU, do not discount this guy. I'm telling you, this cat is absolutely explosive. He can take it the distance. The 60-yard run looks like nothing to this kid. And so, I mean, you just never know. And one thing, in the little bit of time I got to really watch him, you didn't see him putting the ball on the ground. He isn't shy away from contact. He runs through tackles. I mean, it's hard to imagine. I didn't see that many receptions out of the backfield, but I know he's got decent hands. And so you just never know. You put this guy in a competition, and you're sitting there with a situation where you might be able to trade a running back for some kind of draft capital or whatever you're trying to get, and you're sitting here liking what you see in this kid in camp, and you're feeling good about it. Yeah, you're sitting there with some options now as a GM and as a coach. And so I'm not saying he's coming and he's going to take someone's job right away, but I'm telling you, this cat Ian Wheeler, man, do not discount this cat when he gets the ball in his hand.
Yeah, put him on the practice squad. Give him some time at running back.
Next
guy. What was that, Brian?
He may take Homer's job.
Well, I mean,
it'll take time. I mean, Homer is a good four-phase special teamer, but that is the exact job that he would fill and would take given time.
Hey, Levante, chances are you're probably right, but I just don't want to discount anybody, man. You'll like what you see on tape. He's got every last one of these guys are long shots, except in my mind, Keith Randolph, and there's a corner or two on here that I feel like stand a pretty good chance to make it. But for the most part,
I'm with you, Levante. I'm that, like, the running back position is the most, I think, chop block case scenario this season, right? I think Homer's gone. I think this guy would have a hard time making the roster unless he can really prove special teams value. And the reason I'm saying that is because of guys like Pettis being on the squad, and I believe Simba Webster's somewhere bouncing around there too. Velus Jones and Tyler Scott both have special teams value too, so maybe a little bit. I feel like the running back position is going to be a bit of a casualty, whereas they may want to keep a couple of guys at wide receiver.
Yeah, but keep in mind, Waldron does not use a fullback in his.
That's true too. So maybe the fullback position
point.
is the casualty as opposed to running back. That's interesting. Okay.
By the way, what
And
up?
then-
I haven't seen a slick sophistication. What up, man? I haven't seen you in a good minute, man. Nice to see you in the chat. But
And
go
to
ahead.
be fair, most of these guys aren't going to make the 53-man roster, but a lot of these guys should make the practice squad. This is a good group of UDFAs we signed.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say watch out for the Canadian tackle, bro. Like I'll
Yes,
just say
sir.
keep your eyes peeled. Keep your eyes peeled.
You got to get one of them tiny ass Canadian flags, man. Next time you say some shit like that.
I will. Canadian alert.
All right.
Maple syrup fueled, maple syrup powered.
All bullshit, man. You ought to get that going on, man. That little tiny flag or something, man. Some syrup.
I will.
All right. Who
Somebody
you got?
Somebody was
All
dissing
right.
waffles in the chat there for a minute. I took it personally.
Next guy is wide receiver Odio Hilaire from Bowling Green.
Yeah.
Now, the RAS score doesn't look that great. He's a 3-year starter. He's got a ton of production. He averaged per year during those 3 years 58 receptions per year, 732 yards, a 12-point yard catch per reception. Good size, good hands, and adjusts the ball very well. More of a possession wide receiver, maybe a big slot or an X receiver, but he's not going to be a deep threat. Needs to refine his route running with sharper cuts and doesn't manipulate the DB at the top of his routes. For a guy who isn't shifty or has a lot of speed, he's pretty good in the open field, making guys miss and breaking tackles. My forecast for him, most likely a camp body that has upside limitations unless he can develop quickly as a route runner.
Well, I ain't gonna kid you guys a whole lot. I didn't get a chance to see a whole lot on this kid, but the little bit that I saw, you know, what he looked like is someone that can get caught trying to impersonate Darnell Mooney, but not in a very good way. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to put the kid down, but it looked like his measurables and the way he looked out there, the way they used him, and the little bit that I saw, it's like this guy kind of can give you some of what Mooney brought to the table, but he's in no way, I think, is he as fast as Darnell Mooney. Did you come across?
I think that comp is really coming from how he adjusts to the ball and high points the ball. It's what we saw from Mooney at Tulane. Is he, for a smaller guy, he would outjump somebody. He would high point a ball, and you see that kind of body manipulation in Odio that he can make a tough reception most of the time, going up for the ball. There's just the speed and the fluidity is lacking in the comparison to Mooney.
Yeah, that's just what stood out to me. I mean, because he's going to probably be getting worked out as a slot guy, wouldn't you believe?
Yes, I think underneath crossers, getting him into the middle of the field, having him catching balls around linebackers or outrunning linebackers makes more sense. Maybe some stuff up the seam, but nothing deep. He's not going to, press a safety. He's not going to scare a cornerback on the outside.
Well, I don't want to come across as a poo-poo on this guy, but when we talk about, like Levante said, man, it's an uphill battle for all these guys, and he would be one of the guys I say is going to be a uphill battle. And I would
look at the first three wide receivers, right? And then think about the fact that Poles has actually put draft capital into a couple of guys that are now sitting on a bench. be tough to crack that wide receiver room, man. Put that out there right now. If Ryan Poles is saying that it's going to be a tough roster to crack, that wide receiver room might be the toughest place to get a seat.
Yeah.
And to Shorty, the only guy that would threaten a kick return, punt return position out of these UDFAs is the guy we just spoke about, Ian Wheeler from Howard, the running back. I think it's going to take time for him to develop more his running back skills than his kick return skills, because those are top notch. He just needs to find another way to make the roster than being a pure kick returner.
Man, you know what? I like anybody's chance that gets a chance to get their feet on the grass, but this cat's gonna have a rough go at it. But you never know. Maybe they strike something. Hey, at least he's gonna get some stuff on film, and some teams will get a chance to get a good look at him. But this is Odio Hilaire.
Yeah. Yeah, and guys who can run really good routes, even if they're not the fastest guy on the field, if you can create separation from your route running, you can do a lot in the NFL or make a team. So I wouldn't get too caught up on his speed issues, but it needs to be combined with very good route running, and he still needs to develop that.
Yeah.
So
It's good. I mean,
yeah.
You ready for the next guy?
Yeah. Wide receiver, Ty James from Mercer. Now, this is a wide receiver that I would get a little more excited about.
Hey,
So you see the RAS score, much better. You see a lot more green.
Here, J2K. Only reason why, because I think he ended up signing with Minnesota.
What's that, say again?
What's that? I think this guy ended up going to Minnesota.
Ty James?
I think there was a guy named Ty something that the Bears thought they wrangled in, but I think Minnesota got in. I hope I'm wrong. But
you know what? You actually, I believe you are correct. He must have chosen Minnesota over Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
And then my sources were incorrect.
Hey, no, man. Everybody's sources are up and down right about now, man. So,
all right.
Oops.
All right. Well, you want me to break them down or you want to skip them? I mean, he's in the division.
Not especially if he's on Minnesota. We want nothing to do.
Hey, Nomad, you wanna bring in your guest while we got a break?
Yeah, sure, man. Let's bring him in.
All right.
No maniac in the building. We ain't gonna pull you up on the screen yet, Petty, until you feel like you're ready to jump on.
As soon as we hit the intro, he bounced.
Yo, can y'all hear me?
Wait,
camera shot.
Hear you. Yeah. We can hear you. We just can't see you.
Man, look, man, I'm in COD tonight, man.
All right.
I'm in COD tonight. What's good, fellas?
Murphy.
Hey, it's all good, man. How you been?
Man, just trying to stay out the way, man. Been working.
Hey,
just working, man. Trying to keep up with the Bears the best I can. That's all.
Hey, what I was always told, making money is sexy, man.
Yeah, then when you marry, you better make some money.
No, that's right, man. So what you think about the draft so far, man? You feeling good?
Well, I just want to say, kids, you already know what it is. You know we gonna disagree on something before we get up out of here. Mr. B, what's happening? I ain't seen you around. What's going on, Mr. B?
Yeah, I've been kind of laying low.
Hey, I'm not mad at you. J2K, what's going on, sir?
Hey, what's up, Eddie? How you doing?
Man, I'm blessed and never stressed. But Nomad, to answer your question, I love the draft. I was with you, Nomad, yesterday. I was ready to kill Poles.
So Petty, you notice how he didn't say nothing with Alex here. He didn't say nothing. He kept quiet. Don't let Alex know that he was throwing fruit in the grocery store.
Hey, kids, get up off my guy.
Somebody
Get up
got to
off my
bust
gap.
the chops around here. Somebody got to do it.
Hey,
do it all day.
hey, get up off my guy. No, but I love the draft, man. I love the draft, and I'm gonna come on this show and eat some crow.
About what?
I was one of the man. Wait, you say what now?
About what?
Remember, I was the one who said that Caleb didn't want to come here. Okay, I was wrong. I'll be the first. I'm man enough to admit when I was wrong, and I was wrong.
All right.
Hey, I seen you doing it on Twitter, man, and I respect you for that, man. Because not enough people are willing to, put their neck on the chopping block, because it is all these petty ass, messy people that want to be,
Man, look, I don't really participate with Twitter. Like, I have a couple of people that I stay in contact with on Twitter. Nomad, you one of them.
Yeah.
But I'm to the point now, man, where I don't do too much social media. Like, it's just social media to me is gotten to the point now, and no offense to anybody who is really into social media, because I know that's how a lot of people connect. But social media to me is like, it got real juvenile, man. Like you got these guys that get on there, and they talk tough, and it's internet, so they're gonna talk tough. But like you say, Nomad, don't say something on the internet that you wouldn't say to somebody's face. But they don't know better.
Because you will end up in a motherfucking dentist chair fucking with me.
Man, I had to tell somebody today that wanted to, call me a dick rider. I told her, I said, it has nothing to do with me being that. It's just that I'm not a bitch. I don't whine like a little bitch when something don't go my way. I said, you talking real greasy, my guy, but I'm going to pray for you. Sincerely, these hands.
Hey, I apologize for setting the wrong tone. There's certain stuff we can't say on here, man.
Oh, I apologize. I apologize.
You didn't know that. It's all
I
good.
apologize.
Why you here, man? My man J2K did all that work for the.
Yeah, let's get to what we came for.
Let's dig back in.
Who's up next,
Right.
J2K?
Then we'll skip Ty James, but we'll go, unless you guys want me to do them, I don't mind.
No, I hate no love for Minnesota. I was
All
gonna
right,
say,
so
hey,
we're gonna skip him.
No,
All right. He sucks anyway, so no worries.
There you go.
So we'll go with tight end Brendan Bates from Kentucky. All right, so this is an interesting signing here. RAS scores 7.03. I do want to point out that 4.68 40-yard dash and a 10.02 broad jump. There is some speed and some explosion in his game, but he has been predominantly a blocking tight end through his entire career. He's big, he's athletic, but he's only totaled 26 receptions for 272 yards and 2 touchdowns. There is some upside to this guy because he wasn't used as a receiving tight end, but he's got the athleticism, he's got the frame, and he's a really good kid. I did watch a couple interviews with him, well-spoken, intelligent. So this guy might be able to have a chance if he does become a better receiver. So if he can show he's more than a blocking tight end, he has the athleticism to make the practice squad and one to develop into a backup tight end and, of course, special teamer.
J2K, I'm absolutely going to have to take your word for this guy. This is the one guy and I think this is the one I didn't get a glimpse at yet. I haven't gotten a chance. All I know is what you can tell me. And he's a big tight end. I know that. What is he, like 6'5", 250?
6'2" here. How tall is he?
Or 6'4", a little over 6'4", 250. So he's got the size and he's got the speed, but when you watch tape of him, you're just watching him as a blocker, so it's hard to see and project him as a receiving tight end. And they also, Kentucky had another tight end, 84, who was the primary pass catching tight end for the team.
I saw a 40, man. That's about all I was able to get today, man. You know, I thought he can move pretty good. A 40 doesn't tell you a lot about lateral agility and things like that, which is what all the stuff you need to be a good tight end, because everything ain't a straight damn line down the field, right? And so
Right, exactly.
someone just said, good question. Let me see that. I think that was who said was what are we gonna do about Mercedes Lewis?
Yeah, it was Flex Diggs. I saw it too, man. I'm thinking they might as well. You know, what do you all think? Like, you might as well go and get Flex, or sorry, get Mercedes Lewis again.
I hope the hell they re-sign that guy. I thought he's.
Facts.
I'll tell you guys, man. What I know from being around coaches long enough, a guy like Mercedes Lewis is like, it's like basically having insurance after your home just got ran over by a tornado. By the way, shout out to everybody that's living in the Iowa, Nebraska area, or anybody in that Midwest region where those tornadoes were absolutely tearing up stuff. Any of our viewers that live in that area or got family, loved ones, or anybody they care about in those regions, man, shout out to them and good vibes to them, man. For they're going through a whole hell of a lot of shit right now. But I digress, man. I think Mercedes Lewis is that valuable of a piece. If he wants to come back and play football for another year, I want him in Chicago.
Yeah,
I agree.
Might see that. Yeah, absolutely.
But you done with him? I don't know if anybody else.
Yeah, I think he's not someone to get too excited about because he really needs to show that he can be a receiving tight end. There's a possibility he makes practice squad and works on his route running and all of that. I just didn't see enough receptions to grade him as a receiver. So unfortunately, he's a guy who I think may not make the final cut for the practice squad. But we do have a couple other guys here, and this is where it gets exciting. So we've got some guys coming up. The next guy, defensive end / defensive tackle, Jamari Chroma from James Madison.
Now this is
Now,
go ahead.
Okay.
yeah.
Whole lot
Look
of
at
green
this RAS score, man. A 9.65. He has elite explosion, speed, and 3-cone. Now, he did play edge. He did play inside. I see this guy as a tier 3 tech. He's got good size, great length. You can see with those arms, 35.25. He's got a bull rush. He's got a swim move. He's got a long arm. He's versatile, playing inside, outside. He's a great motor, quick off the line. He's a little tight in the hips, change of direction, but for a defensive tackle, he's actually very athletic. And if you look at the score here, because they say the weight is a red, it's a flag. He's not big enough. I mean, 6'3", 274 as a 3 tech. That's not bad starting off. You want to maybe put on another 10 pounds, but that's not horrible. The kid's got a huge upside and the potential not only to make the practice squad, but possibly make the roster as a rotational 3 tech.
Let me pull this down for a second. He's one of the first ones I grabbed, and I got a good look at him. Jamari Chroma, I think that's the way to say his name.
Chroma?
Yeah. Jamari
Chroma?
Look, he's one of them guys. He's not extremely long. That's the first thing. And you gotta. So what I started thinking, J2K, was I had to get my mind away from what Flus is thinking. Flus's measurables and what all off season, J2K. You've heard me say this probably enough times to make your ass nauseous, but I think the versatility that Eric Washington is going to bring to our defensive fronts, that front four, and how he uses them, the versatility in which he applies these guys. And I think you need all kinds of body types. Now, no for the long, lanky guys with all the length and all that kind of stuff. And that's valid. It's good reason to go after guys like that in this type of a defense. But this guy doesn't really fit that kind of characteristic other than weight, right? But what you saw, first thing I noticed about him is he's mean setting the edge. And so that had to be the first thing that they were attracted to about him, and the position versatility, because you didn't only see him come off the edge, you see him quite a bit line up on the inside. This is at JMU, but I'm not. I think he's I think he's physically built and has a nice projection of an upside. He's what, 275 now?
Right.
You can easily see this kid getting to 285 in a blip. You can look at his lower body and see it. And so, the things that you can do with a guy like that, stand him up, line him on the inside, put him out wide, a wide nine, anything you want to do with a guy like this, it allows you to get more multiple. And some of these guys that we brought in for edge rusher, it gives you that kind of mindset that they want to be multiple with those guys. Do you come away with that, J2K?
Yes. Yes. And to be fair, like the chat is saying, I thought he was an edge. He's an edge. He's a defensive end. A lot of the tape is of him playing edge. He did play inside, outside. I think in this defense, he's either a power edge or he's a pass rushing defensive tackle. So he can play in both different places, but I don't see him on the outside on passing downs or the inside on run downs. So he's a bit of a tweener as far as which position he plays. And while he does have good arm length, he doesn't necessarily have the extreme height. He's not 6'6" with 35-inch arms. He's 6'3". There is a ton to like. I think he projects more inside because I didn't see the bend and the hips to play edge on passing down. But I do see plenty of tools in the tool bag to be rotational 3-tech.
So I want to highlight something KQ saying. He's or she, I don't know if it's he or she, edge all the way. You know what? That's hard to really say, man. I'm telling you, this cat's he's strong. Like, I think he can hold his own on the inside pretty well, man. And you just got to see how he plays and see how he's built. You can definitely get some production out of him on the edge, but I don't think you ought to sleep on him if they slide him on the inside. And that's what these guys covet. The guys that can play up and down the line, you kick him inside, play him outside, and you're not limited to playing this guy one kind of way, one type of style, or playing a certain position. You can do multiple things with him. And I think that's what they're after. Versatility, man. And I think this guy, I think he goes a long way in that department for us, man. If he can make this team, I think he can bring something.
Yes, and there's a ton of upside with this guy. So, yeah, he's a power edge. He's definitely a 4-3 traits kind of a guy. I think he can move inside, outside, depending on down and distance.
Wait, J2K, I just want to say, Nomad, this is my guy. Who I was telling you about. I watched tape on this kid. It's a long shot, but I wouldn't be surprised if he did make the team.
No, he wouldn't surprise me, man. It wouldn't surprise
I wouldn't be surprised. This kid, just think what Eric Washington and Montez Sweat can do with this kid.
Hey, he's strong as fuck. I know that. This cat is strong.
I mean, you talk about strong, man. I'm talking about you, like how you say Jacob Martin is a blur. Now you think Jacob Martin is a blur. I'm telling you, if you all get the chance, people in the chat, guys, if anybody gets the chance, go watch tape on this kid. I'm telling you, blur.
Yeah, and when this guy gets into the open field chasing down a quarterback or a running back,
it's good night.
He's got speed, and he's a big, long man running fast.
That's KQ is exactly right, man. They have, if I tell you what, when you talk about Dominique Robinson, what you've been missing with Dominique Robinson is you haven't seen him empty his tank yet. And I think what you bring
he hasn't had nobody to push him.
There's another one or two guys on this list, that's including this guy here that you're looking at on the screen, that's gonna really force him to empty his tank. We're gonna see what Dominique Robinson is made of, because they just brought him in some legitimate competition straight out.
Facts.
So I like that, man. That's what you want. You ready?
Yeah, this is one of the guys that you want to be excited about going into training camp, and keep an eye on him in preseason.
All right, you ready to get to your next guy?
Yes. So, all right, the big signing that we made as a UDFA is defensive tackle Keith Randolph Jr. from Illinois. I mean, I thought this guy was going to get drafted at least by the 5th round. 3 tech, good size and length, has a great motor. Should have been drafted round 5. Most likely fell to positional versatility, being a pure 3 tech and not having the power or the strength to play 5 tech or nose tackle.
I'm not used to this on this phone.
That. Great swim move, good long arm, quick hands to shed blocks, scrappy down the line laterally, keeps working until a second whistle, not overly powerful, but plays aggressive and makes tackles with violence and attitude. At times has a very quick first step and sheds blocks quickly with his hands. Can get stonewall if the O-line gets his hand placement on him, aka doesn't have the power to win. Is very athletic and good long speed for a defensive tackle. My forecast for him could make the roster as a rookie if he plays well in camp, and would not be surprised if teams try to sign him off our practice squad if that's where he ends up.
So Chris, can you jump in here right quick? If you don't mind, man. Do you remember us having a conversation about Johnny Newton and Keith Randolph?
Oh, yeah.
Do I need to refresh you a little bit?
No, I think what you were saying was part of Johnny Newton's success was in part to Randolph. I think you might even said he was a better defensive tackle.
I don't know if I said he was a better defensive tackle. I think a large part of what Johnny Newton was able to enjoy was this cat here was sucking up all the double teams and allow him to play free, because he was a cog kind of, and he was demanding that double team, and it usually allowed if you look at the tape close enough, Newton to get those one-on-ones, and he's supposed to win those, right? And he was winning them, man. You know, he was winning his one-on-ones, and he got a lot of shine. I would say this about Keith Randolph. I think if given the opportunity, he will provide depth on our defensive line of scrimmage. I'm not saying he's gonna come in here and win a starting role or anything like that. A guy that can give us something that we need, and that's depth at the defensive tackle spot, and to keep pushing those young cats that we got from last year. But I wouldn't say that he was a better off defensive tackle than John Newton. I would say that some people might have thought that he was, and he just wasn't getting the opportunity because he was always playing one tech and getting all the double teams, and Johnny Newton was getting the 3-tech work.
My question, and I figured they try to pick up some DT in free agency, but correct me, Leonard Taylor was not drafted, right?
I can tell you why.
Yeah, we talked about that, and what happened?
Because he came in with and it's his fault for not. He should have, and some people probably will get on me for saying this, but when you get recruited by a coach and a coach promises you this, right, and he says we're gonna give you work at 3-tech, and that's where you'll be primarily playing. And so he was here with Manny Diaz when Manny Diaz came to Miami.
One of the Diaz brothers?
And one of the Diaz brothers. And when Diaz,
I almost did it, Chris. I almost did it.
And when Diaz got out of there, he should have got out of there, because what Crystal Ball ended up doing was playing him out of position. He's only 300 pounds, if that, and he ended up playing him at 1-tech. He's a natural 3-tech, and he had the most stellar 22 3-tech season you can have for a college player. I mean, he was absolutely dominant. And then here comes Crystal Ball coming in here, and he played him at 1-tech, and so he had the most down year you can have for a guy like him. And so basically, he was playing out of position. That's all I'm trying to say in a whole bunch of words. He was playing out of position, which is why he didn't look good as far as the numbers went and what he looked like on tape. He was way out of position.
Wow. The guy had a lot of talent.
Yes.
I was shocked.
Guess who got him?
The Jets.
Yeah. They got a stud, man, and they're going to find out real quick that if you put him in his right position, he's going to flourish.
Well, a lot of time when it comes down to, the UDFAs, they're really in a good position because they can choose the team they go to. And I was a little surprised that he went to when he went to the Jets because, they've got a pretty deep defense, and ours is too. But I wonder if they made a play for him.
Somebody might need to put their.
That was Petty. I think he unmuted his mic.
Hey,
Petty, you might want to pop in if you got some ear buds. You might want to pop those in if you're using your phone.
do me a favor, everybody in the chat. I'm gonna jump right on out here and put myself out there on the limb and say this guy. I'm gonna give a thumbs up. This guy makes the roster. Thumbs up or thumbs down. Keith Randolph makes the roster as a D tackle. Thumbs up, thumbs down. I'm giving him a thumbs up straight up. They jumped right out of the draft, and he was one of the first guys they signed. I don't know who said it. I think it might have been Alex. Did Alex say somebody that they gave him a nice chunk of money?
Yeah, they gave him good money for UDFA to come here.
I'm seeing
And
thumbs up.
that's the other thing. They are free agents, so you can bump up
Cornelius.
I'm seeing thumbs up. I think Keith Randolph, he finds his way to this roster one way or the other. It's still an uphill battle, but I think he gets on this roster and he finds his way into this rotation some way or another.
Yeah, going into this season, I was expecting a fourth round grade on the guy, and I watched him and thought that he kind of dropped off a little bit, or he didn't excel as much as I would have liked him to. So I thought, okay, now we're talking maybe around a 5th round. But for him to go undrafted, I did hear there was an injury, so I don't know how much that played into it or what that injury actually was.
Yeah, let me point out something. Joseph Belinsky, I got your comment starred. He said that he's got the best chance to make this roster. I would tend to agree with you, but there's another guy on here that I want to point out. Of course, he's a DB, a cornerback. I got to give him a shout out. Cornerback run this motherfucker all day.
Secondary by chance.
Goddamn right.
Yeah, yes, he is.
But yeah.
And I agree that Keith, out of this group, Keith is the most likely to. But Chroma is going to give Keith a run for his money in camp. I guarantee that.
That's what I was wanting to ask.
Yeah. So it's great. We have competition even for the depth pieces and practice squad. I love it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Petty, you good down there? You got.
Yeah, I had to
Islander
switch to
rules.
my tablet. Can you all hear me better now?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're coming in live.
Good, man.
Direct, man.
Okay, good.
You ready? You ready to move on? Or you want to?
Yeah.
Before we do that, let's go ahead and hit with an ID real quick.
Bust it.
The best Chicago Bears content anywhere. Catch Nomad Live pregame 1 hour prior to kickoff and Nomad at Night postgame, and every Friday evening at 7 p.m. Central on all the most popular streaming platforms, and only on the Nomad Network.
That's right, you guys, man. Hey, listen, let me tell you something. A lot of people ask you for your subscriptions. A lot of people deserve your subscriptions. They work, people work, but we work our ass off around here. We just gave you 17 plus hours of nothing but raw NFL draft coverage. And, we sacrifice doing the things that we probably would have been wanting to do. I would have loved to just sat here and just slap down my laptop and just enjoy the draft with some wings, some beer, and just chilled out. But you know what? I feel obligated to you guys. And I think the guys here with us, matter of fact, I know they feel a certain obligation to you guys, you viewers, the people that support us week after week. They feel an obligation to you guys to make sure we give you guys what you're looking for. We out here for you guys, man. I think you all should know that at all times, man. We present this stuff for you so that you have content to watch that you prefer. Like, you can be looking at the NFL Network. You can be looking at ESPN. You can be looking at other podcasters, however you feel about whoever does what they do. but you chose to be here and you like what we do. And we appreciate it. And we also know it. We know that you like the content that we put out there. And so we feel obligated to make sure we have something out there for you guys to enjoy the whole ride. And so we feel like we did our job the whole weekend and gave you guys what you were looking for. So all we would ask from you in return is something that's free and painless. And that's a subscription. Pop, just hit the button. Just hit the button. That's all we ask for. That's it. That's all. I mean, we felt like we did our job. Just do us the simple favor of doing that for us, and I'll shut my guy mouth.
No, yeah, man. No, smash that like, give us that subscription. We appreciate it. You know what I'm seeing in the chat today? I'm seeing a lot of the heads that I haven't been seeing for a while. A lot of the turmoil over the good old civil war that was the Bears over the course of the last X amount of months. Looks like that's now over. Looks like heads are back at it. We're all bearing down together, holistically moving forward. I'm stoked about what we've done in this draft. J2K, you got any more of these UDFAs for us to look at?
Yeah, we got 2 more. So the next up will be Carl Jones, linebacker at UCLA.
Hold on, before you get into him, J2K.
Yes.
Cornell Bryant, don't go out on the streets with your name Cornell Bryant and put it on your shirt or nothing like that. You might get jacked up, man. He just said, spoiler, Noah Sewell is going to take Jack Sanborn's job and have a breakout season. You know what? I almost got hurt by saying that before because I kind of said that. I said they drafted Noah Sewell for a reason, man. And I love Jack Sanborn, man. I love me some Jack Sanborn. But eventually, Noah Sewell is going to make his way to that field. He's their pick. He's their pick. I'm just saying that they're drafting linebackers. They're grabbing UDFA linebackers. Are they setting this up for thinking that Jack Sanborn could be trade bait? I don't know what the fuck they're doing, but I tell you right now, you can look at enough Noah Sewell tape to know that this guy eventually is going to make his way to the field.
Man, you can look at Jack Sanborn tape and say he ain't going anywhere. So I'll put that out there too, man. That kid was on. If there was a tackle, Jack Sanborn was either causing it or a part of it. So I'll be very surprised to see him going anywhere, anytime soon.
Just don't hurt me. I'm just a messenger.
Hey,
I'm not hurting nobody about
it. Don't shoot
me. Hey, kids, real quick. Jackson, he didn't like. He never met a tackle he didn't like.
That's it, man.
He never met a tackle.
Every time I blinked, Jack Sanborn was tackling somebody last season. Between him and
somebody was getting Jack Sanborn. Somebody.
Hey, I think there's something to be said about who they drafted and who they didn't. I didn't think that before the season started. I mean, before the off season started, but I've been proven motherfucking wrong. So I would just put that out there. They didn't draft Jack Sanborn.
This is true, but again, his play on the field speaks volumes. And I thought the same thing. I thought the same thing when they drafted Noah Sewell, and I was like, whoa, okay, all right, some competition in the room. I'm with it, but I think Jack's doing a good job. And Jack went out there last season, and like I'm telling you, every time if it wasn't Edwards, it was Sanborn. On the tackle, those two cats were all over the world, all over the field, just flying around. That may say a lot about Edmonds, but we'll leave that alone.
So Sophisticated made a quick comment. I'm gonna read it off. Sophisticated Thoughts. What up, my bro? Nomad, I really like that kid from UCLA. He's the guy on the screen right now, you guys. Carl Jones Jr., linebacker, UCLA. He's in on every play right next to Latu. He's really good had a really good game against Caleb and USC as well. Yeah, man. He's another one I got to take a good look at. And, watching the Latu tape, now I kind of remember him. Looking at the Latu tape. And I didn't recollect that until I pulled up the tape on him earlier today before we came on the show. Yeah, this cat's all over the damn place, man. I mean, you got to remember, Flus is a linebackers coach, and he knows how to find good linebackers, man. And all they've done is brought and just raised the ante on this team. You heard Ryan Poles say that it's going to be really hard to make this team. And when you bring in cats like this, and I would just advise everybody to go do their homework on Carl Jones Jr. It doesn't look like the greatest thing in the world in this RAS score, but you'll be pleasantly surprised watching his film, I guarantee. But go ahead, J2K.
Yeah, thank you. So 6.7 isn't a great overall RAS score, but you see that he does have speed, and that does show up on film. And he has played all over in that defense, from edge to safety to kind of a linebacker edge hybrid. Very good speed for his size. I see him more as a 3-4 edge, and I'm kind of scratching my head a little bit on how this guy is going to fit in our defense, because he does not look like a true 4-3 linebacker. The stand-up rusher, very athletic and explosive, great speed, and a relentless pass rusher. Excellent form tackler with some power and breaks down very well in space. Got a great burst off the line, was asked to read, react, and it didn't show up as often on tape due to scheme and assignment. Will be a core special teamer, but needs to find a home at one position. My forecast, he's got huge upside as a pass rusher and core special teamer. And if he does make the practice squad, I could see both 4-3 and 3-4 teams come sniffing around to sign him off our practice squad and put him on their 53-man roster. But I don't see a clear path to a position for this guy, because you see he's 5'11", 220, and runs a 4.5, but he was a primarily a pass rusher and not a coverage guy. I don't see 3-4 linebacker in his future. I see stand-up pass rusher on a 3-4. So I'm very curious what they see in this guy as far as a fit, and what the plan is, and what position it is they're going to develop him at.
There was another linebacker that went undrafted, and I was really high on him. He fits the same profile as this kid, Omar Spates at LSU.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little rocked up bowling ball type of linebacker. And every time you watched him play, he was making plays. So when you described him, it reminded me of Omar Spates, and he also went undrafted.
Those Ravens like those bump and grind type linebackers that are built like that. They like those kinds of guys, man, because you need guys that are physical to the contact, man, and really run towards it. And you got to have a body built for it. This guy, Carl Jones, you know what I think they see in him, J2K? I believe they see every linebacker role back up. That's what I think. And some versatility. And if you want to play him and have him go after the quarterback, you can see some of that in him too. I see a little bit. This dude, your average person, J2K, that just watches football on a casual basis, I think they've gotten spoiled with the 4.2s, the 4.3s, and 4.4s. They think a 4.5 and 4.6 is slow. That's what I think. I think if you see anything less than a 4.4, I think people think that's slow. And I think that's the furthest thing from.
I got a question.
In fact, go ahead, Brian.
I got a question for you, J2K. Looking at this Carl Jones's measurables, it kind of compares with Baskerville last year. And Baskerville was a guy I wouldn't have been shocked if he made the 53 roster.
I don't see the fluidity in Carl Jones to play linebacker or be like that Baskerville. Baskerville was very athletic, had very good hips, was more of an undersized linebacker, but had very good movement skills and coverage. Carl Jones, he just screams pass rusher, edge, stand up, 3-4 outside linebacker type of a player, and I don't see the breakdown and the coverage skills to be a 4-3 linebacker, and I don't see the size and length to be a 4-3 defensive end. So I am scratching my head with this guy, but I loved his tape. If this was a 3-4 team, I would absolutely say there's a possibility he could make the roster as a rotational pass rusher. So I'm going to watch this guy. I'm going to see where do they put him and what do they ask him to do. If they do see something in him at linebacker that I haven't seen, I can't wait to see how that plays out on field.
I'm not saying this guy has a strong chance to make this team I mean, you just don't know. What I saw is a guy that when linebacker coaches, they look at certain things, how fast does he cover ground, right? And I saw him going from east to west pretty quickly. I thought he covered ground pretty quick, and when he triggered, so linebacker talk is, when you see the process going on and you see what's what, and you're pretty sure what you looking at in front of you, and you get out of alignment and you trigger, how fast do you get there and close and make the play? You see that he processes real fast. When he triggers, he's there and he closes and he makes plays. Wrapped up tackle, he does it all.
And on tape, you see the speed, the straight line speed, but also on tape, you also see what this RAS score is representing, because the agility, the turning the hips, and stopping on a dime, shifting, turning, going into a new direction, that isn't as fluid enough to me for a guy to be in coverage. But once he does flip those hips, that straight line speed and that dart is absolutely there. Well, and he's a fantastic tackler. So, I mean, this may be a guy who they may see develop long-term at a linebacker, but be a very good core special teamer.
Like I said, JTK, I haven't seen enough of it to sit here and vehemently disagree with you. And I'm a reserve judgment and look at some more tape. I might think of it differently the next time we get
it. But at 220, he's still pretty light to be a linebacker.
Yeah. What about box safety?
I don't like. It goes back to just flipping the hips. You got a speed tight end or a receiver come into your zone. How quickly can he, flip from this guy to this other guy coming into the zone and squeeze that zone so guys aren't finding that opening, so I'm very curious to watch it unfold.
Me too. I'm gonna look at more, and hopefully I'll have, next time we get a chance to talk about it, I'll have more to really relay to you guys. But like the little bit that I saw, I think the fact that he triggers so fast, and when he does, closes and gets there and ends that play pretty good. And, that's the kind of shit linebacker coaches love, man. And if for no other reason, they're going to bring him in and give him an opportunity to show if he can do that on this next level. But
closing speed and form tackling is easily his best trait.
I agree. All right, man. All right. What else you got?
All right, the last guy we got is cornerback Reedy Stewart from Troy. And doesn't have the best RAS score, but he does have a lot of career interceptions with 9. He's aggressive. He's a very good tackler. He's got good speed and quickness. He breaks on the ball well and reacts well to the offense. He played, from what I saw, he played a lot of zone. So he was looking in the backfield, reading the quarterback, and he breaks on the ball quickly, does a great job diagnosing. He played on the outside, but probably is a nickel at this next level, given he isn't that tall or that long, given his size, but he is very quick. So I could see him moving to the inside. He's scrappy getting off of blocks, but doesn't have the size to power through them and isn't a big hitter. Now, we may disagree on this, Nomad, but my forecast is most likely a camp body and possible practice squad nickel cornerback if he can transition quickly.
All right. I'm going to disagree with you a little bit.
It's all good. You're the DB of the group, so I'm going to trust you more than my eyes.
Just because I'm a DB doesn't mean I'm Jesus when it comes to this stuff, man. What I can tell you this, though, You know, there's certain things all I got a chance to see. I didn't get a chance to watch an entire game and look how he projects. Playing against the run and all that kind of stuff that you need to know. You know how he reacts to it. All the stuff that you need to makes you as a good cornerback. See him playing zone. See him playing a man-to-man. I didn't see enough to really dispute anything you're saying, so I'm not going to do that. All I'm going to tell you is what I saw and why I think the coaches saw something in him. And the little bit that I saw makes me believe, I'm telling you, this cat's a fucking ball hawk. He's around the ball, and he gets it in his hands. And when he gets it in his hands, he's a threat to go put 6 on the board. That's one. Number two, I saw one particular play that really stuck out to me, and I had a flashback because I went to Oklahoma 2 years in a row when I was for a camp. You know, I'll tell you a quick story about that. My mother didn't have the money to send me to no damn Oklahoma football camp. You know how expensive that shit is. But I got there. You know, some people on the street that really wanted to see me succeed. Because of statute of limitations, I don't give a fuck no more. It was drug dealers. They made way for me to get there, and so I got there, and I showed out 2 fucking years in a row out there, and it was a couple things that I did that made those coaches go nuts. It's something I saw with Reddy Stewart today when I pulled up his tape. He was sitting in zone coverage, and he saw the play, and in a zone coverage, you might see the route combination. It might be 2 people in your zone, right? It might be 2 people in that cloud because zone coverage is basically cloud formations. You're sitting in a cloud and in like a bubble, and you got different people coming in and out of that. And so when he saw it, and he saw this one particular play, and he was sure about it. But when he put his foot in the dirt and accelerated to that ball, he was quite a ways away from it. And accelerated to that ball, he went from 0 to 10. So in a blip, and absolutely took that thing from that dude and went for 6. I mean, it's lightning fast. Some of you guys probably seen that same damn clip on YouTube. And I'm telling you, I guarantee you that's the reason why he's in this camp. I guarantee you. You should have seen those college coaches. I was only a junior in high school, and I did that on some drills we ran, or when we were in a little light scrimmage, you can call that a scrimmage. I did that one time, and those motherfuckers went nuts. And when I saw this Reddy Stewart did, you could see why they brought him into this camp. He's a ball hawk, and I think he can play. I think he's gonna. I think he can push for a nickel spot on this roster. I really do. I think he's got a good shot at making this roster.
Yeah, and he's the type of guy who he's going to outplay his RAS score because of his intelligence and his reaction skills and what he's seeing from the offense. So a lot of those interceptions I saw was him making the right decision or the right read before the ball was even released. He was getting himself in position, and he's very aggressive on the ball. And, you look at, 4.52 40, you see a guy who's much faster on the field, and it does kind of show up because his 10-yard split is actually elite. It's actually very good. So that short area quickness is excellent, and he's got a really good head on his shoulders. It's just, I see him as a nickel cornerback, mostly depth, and he's gonna consistently have to play better than his traits are allowing him to do so, but he totally could.
J2K, who's the corner that ended up being an all-pro for so many years in New England? I can't think of his name, with the dreadlocks. Stephon Gilmore. I couldn't help but to think I just kept seeing Stephon Gilmore over and over, and I kept rewinding it. I was like, that's Stephon Gilmore. That is Stephon Gilmore right there, young Stephon Gilmore. If you go, Petty, you trying to say something? Because I can't hear you, bro.
I don't see. I'm gonna have to go. I don't know much about the kid. I'm gonna have to go watch some tape. But you putting a lot on it, man. Stephon Gilmore,
former defensive player of the year.
I'm not sure if you've heard Nomad talk about anybody in the secondary before. So here we
I'm
are.
saying I just kept seeing Stephon Gilmore in his traits. When I'm
Yeah.
talking about, I'm not talking about what he'll be able to produce. I'm talking about traits. That his burst, that short area quickness that J2K just got talking about. That's the type of shit that makes Stephon Gilmore elite. What he can do in short areas and his burst in those small areas to make plays. That's the kind of shit that reminded me of Stephon Gilmore.
He just got his work cut out, man. Because you talking about J2K. You saying you can see him making the roster and challenging for a backup nickel spot. Man, you got to beat out Greg Stroman. You know they love Greg. You got to beat out Black.
Remember how I was talking about them tight rooms to get into before? This room here is even tighter than that wide receiver room, bro. So
And
I don't.
John Hoke, man, from what I've heard, John Hoke is not for the weak, man. Like, I'm glad the kid's on the team. I hope he shows me something, but I just don't see it. I don't know. I'm gonna have to really.
I personally don't see him making the 53. I see him as a practice squad guy, but to Nomad's point, I think guys who take the first step, their first step is the right step, regardless of their RAS score or their size or their overall speed. All those kind of things go out the window when they can react well and they understand what they're looking at, and they read the offense before the offense gets to them, the ball gets to them. And this is the kind of kid who's got that kind of intelligence and intangibles. So I could see it. I mean, Nomad knows defensive backs far better than I do. So I could see that this guy could challenge.
What you just described, J2K, you cannot find that shit at Walmart. When it computes in your head and the reaction of the compute in your head is a visual reaction on the field. When you have the physical ability to be able to burst on what you just saw, when you're computing, processing, and being able to react to it physically in a way that gives you an explosive play, that's what they're seeing on tape with this kid. And that's what he's describing right now.
Yeah.
And it's not the easiest thing in the world. You just can't find motherfuckers like that sitting on the shelf at Walmart. They're hard to find people like that. That's what makes Stephon Gilmore great. Can he translate to somebody that great? Big ass uphill battle. But I just can't help. That's just the person that came to my head when I was watching him play.
Okay, I give you that, Nomad, because we didn't know.
Somebody do me a favor.
I just wanted to say
Stephon Gilmore was drafted, if he was drafted at all. I bet he wasn't a high draft pick.
I think he was a first round.
Was he?
Probably.
I don't know, but yeah, I just think this kid. I think they found a little something in him. Hopefully, they can keep him healthy. He can make it to camp, make it through minis, make it to a training camp. That's it. That's his goal, is getting to a damn training.
Yeah, and if you look back on like Mike Brown, he didn't test very well speed-wise, athletically. Wasn't the biggest guy, but he knew what was coming at him so well that he consistently put him in position to succeed. And this is the type of kid who has that type of intangible.
All right, man.
So Gilmore was drafted 10th overall by the Buffalo Bills in 2012.
Oh, I was dead wrong about that, wasn't I? All right.
Yeah, just about.
So this your last guy?
You got juiced in that draft too.
Guy. They're what's that?
I said he got juiced during that draft too.
You did.
All right. This your
So
last
this
guy?
is the last undrafted free agent that we signed. We did bring in some guys for rookie camp invites. I haven't done research on those guys. I think if one of those guys gets actually signed, I'll break down that tape and I'll give you guys some insight on them.
One of the guys that he's talking about is a cat named Leon Jones, cornerback from Arkansas State. I got a chance to dig into him just a little bit. I love the length. The length is ridiculous, but that we'll save that for another show. But hey, man, good stuff, J2K, man. Love the work, man. I respect it more than anything else. The fact that you're willing to put it in, man. That out of everything,
Thank you.
I take my hat off to you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's my pleasure.
So, fellas, man, y'all just want to have some small talk, man. We had a whole long ass weekend, man. We had a good time, had some fun, man. We brought a bunch of guests in here that need some super duper shout outs. Coach T, Adam Mason. Who else came through this motherfucker?
Doc.
Dr. Mason West.
Doc, the good Doc. Man, all kinds of people came through here, man. We had a couple of no maniacs. Yeah.
Keith the Bishop, Bears fan Goomba was in here. Nick was with us.
And I apologize because I had a few people like Petty that I was trying to squeeze in here, man. It was just, man, I had probably about 7 different guys that was pending, people that were pending to come on the show. And I was just trying to, when you do these podcasts, you try to, one thing you'll find out, if you end up hosting a podcast, anybody wants to do it, want to give it a shot. But one thing you'll learn pretty quick is when you got something flowing, when there's something gelling, when you got something rolling, last thing you want to do is interrupt it. And so it was a bunch of people that was like, hey, man, can I get in, be a part of the show? It's not that I didn't want to have you as a part of the show. If I told you can come on the show, I meant it. It's just hard to disrupt flow, when you're doing this thing. We just had a good thing going this weekend. We had a good flow going the last couple of days of it was just good, and you just don't want to mess with that. And so it wasn't a slight to anyone. I just want you to know that and hear that from me.
Barlissimo, he was a great guy.
I was just going to say big ups to Barlissimo and Alex Shapiro for jumping on today. Actually, I should have said Adam Shapiro because it would have been much funnier in any event. Thanks for coming on, Alex. We appreciate it. You did an awesome job as per normal. Gave us some good insight to discuss. J2K, it's been awesome chopping it up with you for the last 20-odd hours. Me and J2K got an extra hour and a bit on the BCP show too. So there's that. It's been one hell of a whirlwind of a weekend, but I think the moral of the story is Chicago, you might have yourself an offense.
We up.
I think that's the moral of the story.
Right, like that's the thing we've been waiting for and looking for a very long time, very, very long time. We thought we had it in like 2018, and then it disappeared. And it showed up a little bit when Mark Trestman was around, and then it disappeared again. And here we are with a situation where finally the defense and the offense, we might have what they call parity or balance in Chicago, which is crazy. Right, these are new words we can use. Look at that, new words. Right, this is I'm coining it now. It's Summer of George, and I don't know why it's Summer of George, other than because George called it the Summer of George. But it's Summer of George, y'all. We can be positive for once. What is there to complain about? There's absolutely nothing to complain about.
Oh, people find some shit. You trust me and believe that.
I got nothing. I have nothing to complain about. Not by way of Bears football, that's for sure. My guy got a defensive end. He got an edge rusher. That's all I was asking for.
All right, y'all want to give some shout outs. Chris, you want to shout some people out before we get ready to get up out of here, man? We've been on almost 2.5 hours.
Man, I just want to thank everybody for hanging in there with us all week. Everybody put a lot of work in. I shout out my guys, man. You guys put in yeoman's work. It's been a long week, and but you guys did put in yeoman's work. I appreciate you. Everybody that supports us in the chat, thank you guys. We love you. Continue to subscribe, share, hit the notifications, man, so you know when the truth is coming on YouTube. So I just appreciate you, man. Petty, it's good seeing you, brother. You're always a welcome guest. J2K, excellent work as usual, sir. Brian, you're looking pretty handsome over there, fella.
I try.
You got the prospector chic.
He's got it. I'm not going to hit the drop. I ought to hit it.
Go do it. You got to do it.
Should I do it?
You got to do it. I lined it up up for you, dog. What are you doing?
There's hole in their heel.
Yeah, I think I got rid of it. But anyway, man, everybody, thanks, Nick, for popping in and helping out. And, of course, having Alex Shapiro.
Mason.
Shapiro, yeah, yeah, Alex Shapiro, man, he always does a great work, man. It's a pleasure to be around, all around good guy, and he knows his stuff. We always appreciate having him. So, hey guys, we're on a new era. So, hey, let's go ahead and win about 7 Super Bowls.
Go ahead, Brian.
Let's do that.
I want to thank the all-star guests that we've had the past 4 days. And a special thanks for all the No Maniacs, 20 hours, gee whiz. And I want to give a thanks to Nomad for letting me on. It's been great. Yeah, you could watch NFL, ESPN, whatever, and get the picks, but you can't say that this 20 plus hours hadn't been entertaining. For the new people, if you like the show, please subscribe, and everybody, hit the like button. We greatly appreciate it, and I'm just tickled shitless. I can't wait for the season to start.
Amen. J2K.
Yeah, thanks to you guys. Thanks to everybody in the chat. I had an absolute blast the last few days chopping up the draft with all of you guys. What a fantastic draft. I'm gonna keep looking at potential cuts from other teams that we may be interested in and potential signings. All of that. We got 2 weeks until the rookie mini camp. We'll be looking at that when that comes around. So again, just thanks to everybody, the chat, you guys on the panel tonight, Nomad for having me on. I appreciate you guys. I love talking football, and nothing better than having you guys, everybody in chat, to talk ball with.
Hold on, Petty. Before you go, if you two motherfuckers quit thanking me for having you on, you're part of the network. You're furniture now. Stop thanking me.
Yeah, but I'm always in the back. Not everybody gets to see my beautiful face, and I really appreciate the exposure.
Go ahead, Petty.
Hey, no
I'm all out
man,
of prospecting.
man.
Go ahead, Petty, sorry.
No man, no, you good. No man, I gotta get you now. Hey, Lee, you gotta get off Brian, man. Brian, my guy. You gotta get off my guy, man. Stop giving him a hard time.
Tell him to stay out, motherfucker.
No.
Hey, tell him to stay out of motherfucking chimney.
you just can't act right, man. You just can't act right. But no, man. As always, I love coming on and chopping it up with you guys, man. I appreciate it. I know it's hard. I try not to. I try to respect your show because I know, you blowing up. So it's hard to, it's hard to get. Or how can I put this? It's hard to get people on when you want to get them on, like you said. But man, I really have a ball, even if it's just for 15 minutes. I always have fun when I come on here.
Mm-hmm.
So I really appreciate it. That's all I got.
Hey, I appreciate you more than that, man. All the No Maniacs, man. Everybody that watches the show that enjoys this content. You might think, just because we put it out there, we don't feel we ain't able to reciprocate what y'all are receiving on the other side of it, man. We feel it. We feel all that love coming in here, and we definitely do. And so that goes back to the obligation that we felt like we had all weekend, feeling like we needed to make sure we deliver for you guys that really enjoy this content. So that's what it's all about. Really just reciprocating that love, man. We get it, and we get it in thickness, and we try to pass it back on, lay it on thick as you give it to us, man. So we appreciate y'all just as much as y'all appreciate us, man. We love you guys, man. So it's no sweat, man. But let me give a quick shout out to these guys. Done a pretty good job of that. Dr. West, Adam Mason, Coach T, Alex Shapiro, Berlissimo, everybody that came on to the show. You, Petty, Nick D that came on, Bears fan Goomba. Who else came up in here that I ain't speaking? Oh, the Bishop came. Bishop's part of Nomad Live, but he came to kick it with us on Nomad at Night. Man, everybody that was a part of this all weekend, man, it was hella work. It was hella grinding. And you know what? I'm happy we did it. On the other side of it, I'm happy we did it. We delivered for the people that We're looking for us to deliver. And this was our very first draft coverage, and I feel proud of it, man. It came off how we expected it to come off because we put the work in to produce it. And so I shout out to Chris, man. Love that guy, man. It wouldn't have came off this way if he wasn't there for me to make sure the pieces were in place to put it together so you all would see a great presentation. So that was all Chris. It was me thinking, Chris making sure the pieces were put together for us all. Man, I can't say thank you enough to him for that.
I think too, though.
He does think. He helps me out, man. I'm just saying. You know, we're a dynamic duo that way, man. You know, he's got the skills to make the shit that I think of, as crazy as that shit is sometimes. He's got the skills to pull it off. So can't find a motherfucker like that in Walmart either. So just for the record. But hey, thank you guys one more time for coming to the show. Had a good time tonight, man. And I promise you, within the next couple of days, we're going to get a bunch more different people that are going to come inside Halashall, and we're going to have a bunch to talk about for a while now. And so, yeah, it's going to be a bunch to talk about. So we're going to see you guys tomorrow on Nomad Live at 3 p.m. Central. Remember, Nomad Live is on 3 p.m. Central on Monday and Friday. So 3 p.m. Central on Monday and Friday. So expect that show tomorrow. But before we get out of here, I got to leave you with these famous words. Love, peace, and hair grease, y'all.
Peace, y'all. Bear down.